Chapter 758. Shisheng returned to the system space. The system's voice immediately sounded. Host, you're too cruel. You actually dragged me down with you. Shisheng glanced at the screen. His eyes were so cold that the system didn't dare to say anything. Just as the system was about to refresh the data, it heard its host's voice faintly ring out. My people will live and die with me. This crazy host is too scary. Name, Shisheng Morality. 268000 Health. 40 General Points. 47,000 Mission Level. B Mission Score. 66 Hidden Mission. Failed Hidden Mission Reward. None Side Mission. Completed Side Mission Reward. 3,000 General Points Item List. Queen's Crown. Ghost King's Heart. Dark Knight Shisheng. Not only did it deduct I's morality, but it also deducted I's health. If you're so awesome, why don't you go to heaven? The system didn't dare to say anything and just pretended to be dead. It also felt wronged. It wasn't the system that did this, so it didn't want to take the blame. Shisheng stayed in the system space for a while. The system didn't know what she was doing. She took the watch apart and added some strange parts to it. The system wanted to scan what it was, but before it could do so, it was glared at by Shisheng. After Shisheng reassembled the watch, the system transmitted it. Transmitting. Everyone knew that it was easy for Feng Jian to unify the continent. Ah! A piercing scream tortured Shisheng's eardrums. She felt that she was falling at a high speed. A sense of danger came from all directions, and a strong smell of blood spread at the tip of her nose. Swoosh! Something slammed toward her. Shisheng opened her eyes abruptly, and the speed of her fall suddenly slowed down. The iron sword caught her from below and suddenly rose up, increasing the distance between them. Shisheng's body was in pain. It was the pain of being burned by fire. She lay half dead on the iron sword, listening to the endless screams below. She just wanted to press the pause button, and all the noise would disappear. After a while, Shisheng craned his neck and looked down. A gigantic long-armed ape was running amok below. Those sounds came from the fleeing crowd below. As far as her eyes could see, it was a forest that stretched as far as the eye could see. In the distance, mountain ranges were connected, one after another, and there was no end in sight. Shisheng observed the people below for a while. These people could emit colorful spiritual energy from their hands, and they were also wearing ancient clothes. This was a fantasy world. Roar! The long-armed ape swept through the forest, causing trees to fall one after another. The number of people who were trampled to death by it was not few. If she hadn't gotten Iron Sword online quickly, she would have died. Now he had probably become a meat patty under its feet. You're so cruel as soon as you arrive. I'm scared. Just as Shisheng was observing, the gibbon suddenly raised its head and glared at him. Its scarlet eyes were filled with rage. Shisheng rolled his eyes at the long-armed ape. Come on up if you dare. Just as she finished her provocation, a gust of wind blew behind her, and directly threw Shisheng off the iron sword. The long-armed ape suddenly spat out a string of flames from its mouth, forming a fire dragon and burning toward Shisheng. F***CK. Shisheng's whole body was in pain, and it was difficult for him to even turn over. The iron sword was in the sky, entangled by a huge eagle. When it slashed the eagle, Shisheng was almost burned by the fire dragon. Shisheng stuck a defensive talisman on himself, quickly took out an energy ball, and directly threw it in the direction of the long-armed ape. Unfortunately, he didn't use much strength, Before Shisheng could see clearly, the flames came roaring. His vision was covered by the flames, and he couldn't see anything. The surrounding temperature was constantly rising. Fortunately, the flames didn't chase after her. After she fell, the flames continued to rush up into the sky. Shisheng didn't hear the explosion, so he turned his head with difficulty to look at the long-armed ape. The ape was holding the energy ball and holding it in front of its eyes. The energy ball was not even as big as its eyeball. It put it in front of its left eye, and then put it in front of its right eye. Finally, it closed one eye to look at it. The energy ball was a type of explosion, and it wouldn't explode unless it hit a hard place. So did this ape catch the energy ball just now? Amazing! What the hell is this? She didn't know what the hell it was. It was so big, and it could even spit fire. It must be something like a spirit beast. Anyway, this was the setting in the fantasy world. The iron sword swooped down from the sky and caught Shisheng, who was about to fall to the ground. Shisheng felt even more pain because he was burned by the fire just now. This was what it meant to be painful everywhere. It was so painful that she wanted to kill someone. But she couldn't even pick up the sword. Flip's table. I was going to be angry every time it did this. The long-armed ape was probably very curious about the energy ball, so it put it in its mouth and stupidly chewed on it. Was this ape here to make fun of her? That thing would explode if it was chewed on by its teeth. The long-armed ape chewed a few times, but its teeth were too big to chew on the small energy ball. It wrapped the energy ball in its mouth and rushed toward Shisheng with a roar. Shisheng was speechless. Did I provoke you? Why did you have to kill I? Run. Shisheng patted the iron sword. Buzz buzz. Roar. The long-armed ape spat out another stream of fire. What the hell? You think you're so great because you can spit fire? Shisheng hurriedly ordered the iron sword to run. Kill my ass. I can't even move now. Run. You're waiting for death. The iron sword immediately shot out like a rocket. It darted through the dense forest and quickly shook off the long-armed ape behind it. The iron sword didn't slow down until there was no movement behind it. The iron sword flew around the forest with Shisheng to make sure there were no strange creatures around. Finally, it stopped at an open space. Shisheng rolled off the iron sword and onto the ground. The ground was covered with a thick layer of fallen leaves. There was a rotten smell. It was a bit unpleasant. Shisheng held his breath and took out a pill from his inventory. Damn it, these treasures finally worked. Shisheng ate the pill. It took a while for the pill to take effect. Only then did he feel the pain on his body lessen. She raised her claws and looked at them. They were black and the clothes on her body had traces of being burned. Before she came over, this body must have been burned by the gibbon once. My monkey is so powerful. When I's injuries are healed, I'll fight you for 300 rounds. Bah. When I's injuries are healed, I'll kill you in minutes. Shisheng held the iron sword and looked at himself in the mirror. She was so scared that she didn't even receive the plot. She asked the iron sword to take her to a place with water first. You can break your head and bleed, but you can't mess up your hairstyle. Shisheng engraved this life motto in his heart. What kind of life motto is this? It's at most a pretentious motto. Host, please don't talk nonsense. Shisheng carried all kinds of clothes in his inventory all year round. Although they might not fit this world, he wouldn't wear modern clothes and stand out. Shisheng washed up and ate a few more pills to stabilize his injuries. Only then did he receive the plot. Chapter 759. The previous host was called Ji'in. Shisheng was very suspicious of the person who gave the previous host this name. Ji'in, I'm an idiot. Cuckoo, back to the main topic. The previous host's surname was Feng and her name was Ji'in. She was the adopted daughter of the head of the Feng family in Tianyin continent. She had good talent from a young age, and was doted on by the head. She was the most favored young miss of the Feng family. But all of this changed when the previous host was 16 years old. The female lead Feng Qingqing was brought back to the family. Feng Qingqing was the illegitimate daughter of the head of the family, and was 1 year younger than the previous host. Feng Qingqing had been reborn. In the last life, she had returned to the Feng family when the original owner was about to reach adulthood. But in that life, Feng Qingqing was weak and incompetent. She was timid and afraid of getting into trouble, so the family looked down on her. During the family trials, Feng Qingqing was framed and almost died in the Demon Flame Mountain range. Although she managed to keep her life, her cultivation was crippled. Feng Qingqing's life in the Feng family was even more miserable. The only thing the previous host did wrong to Feng Qingqing was breaking the engagement. To be more accurate, it wasn't breaking the engagement. It was the previous host who wanted to marry Feng Qingqing. After Feng Qingqing married, that man was very good to Feng Qingqing. Feng Qingqing, who was looked down on all year round, suddenly met a man who was so good to her. She quickly fell into the so-called love. However, when she was pregnant and about to give birth, that man brought another woman and snatched the pendant that she had always been wearing. The man told Feng Qingqing that the reason he was so good to her was to get the pendant she was wearing. Feng Qingqing was filled with grief and despair, and the child she gave birth to was weak and sickly. The man and the mistress publicly displayed their love in front of her. The mistress made her do all kinds of hard work, or else the child wouldn't be able to drink milk. On a cold winter day, Feng Qingqing's child was seriously ill. She went to beg the man, but was stopped by the woman. Her child froze to death, and she was pushed into the pond by the woman. Feng Qingqing didn't think that she would be reborn. But since she was reborn, she wanted revenge. She wanted revenge for the humiliation from the previous life. The previous host was one of them. Feng Qingqing had always thought that it was the original host who broke the engagement that caused her tragedy, but the original host didn't break the engagement at all. After Feng Qingqing was reborn, she returned to the clan at the same time. She already knew the secret of the pendant. It was a space, a boundless space. There were many things inside. Feng Qingqing activated her alchemy, tool refining, beast taming, and all-round counterattack mode. When she returned to the clan, her cultivation was already the highest among her peers, but she didn't show it. During the clan's trial, Feng Qingqing found a top-quality herb. Feng Qingqing obtained the herb, but was chased by the Sky Wolf Ape. Feng Qingqing was not the Sky Wolf Ape's opponent, so in order to avoid the Sky Wolf Ape, she reluctantly put the herb on the body of the previous host. Feng Qingqing was not a match for the Sky Wolf Ape. The previous host was even less of a match. If it wasn't for the elders of the family arriving in time, the previous host's little life would have been hard to keep. After the original host was rescued, the family had used all kinds of top-quality pills to save her, but she only managed to keep her life. Just like Feng Qingqing's previous life, her cultivation was completely wasted. Feng Qingqing made a replica of the pendant she was wearing. She bribed the doctor who treated the previous host to give the pendant to the previous host to reduce her pain. The previous host walked the same path as Feng Qingqing's previous life. She was married, her pendant was stolen, and she died tragically in the snow. And Feng Qingqing naturally reached the peak of her life, marrying the most powerful man in the world, and leaving her name in history. In this novel, the previous host was purely cannon fodder. After the female lead took care of the people who coveted her pendant, the previous host had nothing to do with it. She was quite unlucky. She was strangely implicated. Shisheng mourned for the previous host. The previous host was really innocent. She didn't do anything wrong to Feng Qingqing. The worst thing she did was to watch her get bullied and not say anything. But this kind of thing, how common was it in a large family? Even if they were biological sisters, they might not necessarily help. Alright, it was possible that her thoughts were too extreme and normal people's thoughts were not in sync with hers. The previous host's last wish was revenge. Shisheng accepted the plot and slowly opened his eyes. The current timeline was just right for the family trial. That long-armed ape was the Sky Wolf Ape in the novel. Fuck. It dared to burn eye. It had to be cut back. Just as Shisheng was about to get up, a black shadow rushed out of the forest, causing the leaves to rustle. That black shadow landed right in front of her. It was the Sky Wolf Ape that had chased her before. Shisheng. Where's Ai's sword? Shisheng bent down and rummaged through the pile of clothes for a while. He found a slightly burnt herb and threw it at the Sky Wolf Ape. Here. The Sky Wolf Ape caught the herb and sniffed it. It suddenly made a crying expression. It opened its mouth and drooped its eyelids. Ho! Despicable human, she dared to destroy its herb. She must pay with her life. Shisheng quickly picked up the iron sword next to him and held it across his chest. Hey, be reasonable. You burned it yourself. Feng Qingqing had stuffed the herb into the previous host's body during the chaos. The Sky Wolf Ape had chased after the scent of the herb, so it had locked onto the previous host. The burnt area was clearly its own doing. What does it have to do with this treasure? Ho! Shisheng interpreted the roar as, I won't listen, I won't listen, I won't listen. The Sky Wolf Ape's body was huge, but it was very agile. After it roared, it bent its legs and jumped up, pouncing at Shisheng. Fuck. This monkey was so unreasonable. Not only could the monkey fly, it could also spit fire. The fire dragon spat out as if it didn't cost anything. Shisheng could only quickly dodge. Her injuries hadn't healed yet, so she could only run now. Don't chase after I already gave it back to you. Shisheng sat on the iron sword and looked down at the monkey that was ravaging the trees. Flowers and grasses were also alive. This monkey was so ferocious. The monkey pounded its chest at Shisheng. Ho, come down. Shisheng felt awkward. She also didn't understand why she could understand what the monkey was roaring. In any case, she could understand it. Was it an innate ability? You're thinking too much. This was the skill of the previous host. Who told you to speak? Shut up. Was it easy for I to act cool? Shisheng looked down and hooked her finger at the raging monkey. Come up. Ho. Come down. Come up. Ho ho ho. Are you coming down or not? I'm not going down. Come up if you have the ability. She wasn't stupid. If she went down, with her current fighting strength, even if she could kill the monkey, she would be in a sorry state. As a cultured scum, how could she collude with a villain Ape in a sorry state? Chapter 760. The monkey was stomping around below, constantly destroying the trees. Soon the trees around it were either burnt or collapsed. It was an empty and messy place. Shisheng supported his chin with his hand, and occasionally ordered his iron sword to fly to the side to avoid the monkey's fire dragon. Shisheng found that he could only fly so high with the iron sword. Any higher, and he would be pressed down. Anyway, he couldn't force himself up with his current ability. This was the Devil Flame Ridge, a boundless forest with countless Xian beasts. Yes, in this world, monkeys like this were called Xian beasts. Above them were holy beasts and mythical beasts. Xian beasts were divided into 9 levels. The monkey below was a level 5 Xian beast. Level 3 Xian beasts were rare species on the continent. Level 1 Xian beasts were the most common. The difference of one level between Xian beasts was several levels for human beings. Anyway, you couldn't beat a level 5 Xian beast on the continent. Level 3 Xian beasts were intelligent, and level 5 Xian beasts were like 10-year-old children. Shisheng suddenly understood why the stupid monkey was destroying the trees below. On second thought, he couldn't beat a 10-year-old child. Why did he feel so retarded? Shisheng was silent. She took out several energy balls from the space. She was a villain who didn't take revenge. She aimed at the monkey and threw the energy balls down. Maybe it was because the monkey caught the energy balls last time, but when Shisheng threw the energy balls, the monkey subconsciously reached out to catch them. The energy balls landed firmly in its hands. Shisheng was speechless. It was a pity that the monkey didn't become an athlete. The previous energy ball was still in its mouth. After catching it, the monkey stuffed the energy balls into its mouth again. Shisheng looked at its expression of enjoyment and was a bit baffled. Was this thing delicious? Shisheng looked at the energy ball for a while and put it in his mouth. It was cold, like ice cream in summer. It was cold but tasteless. She didn't understand the world of children. Roar! The monkey's roar was so sudden that Shisheng's hand trembled and almost crushed the energy ball in his hand. She quickly put the energy ball back into the space and looked at the monkey. The monkey was currently roaring in a certain direction. The birds there were startled, flapping their wings and flying far away. Shisheng looked at it for a long time, but he didn't know what it was shouting about. Anyway, after it finished shouting, the monkey began to destroy the trees again. Shisheng was speechless. Was there something wrong with this monkey's brain? System, quickly check if there are any strange things nearby. I'm not your explorer. I don't have enough authority, so I won't show you. With Shisheng's current authority, he could only look at specific items. He couldn't look at a large area. What's the use of having you around? Shisheng said with disdain for the umpteenth time. The system was infuriated. It wasn't for you to use. Shisheng felt that she should find a place to recover her strength, but the monkey below kept following her. It looked like it would not leave until it killed her. It was as if it had installed a surveillance camera on Shisheng. No matter how she flew, it would eventually follow her. Roar, roar, roar. The monkey continued to provoke the Shisheng. Kill it, kill it. This was the only thought in the Shisheng's mind. She let the iron sword fly lower. As soon as the monkey saw that the distance between them was shortened, it immediately began to breathe fire. The place where the fire roared was scorched black. Shisheng avoided the fire and landed at the bottom of a rock covered with rubble. It was a big rock that came out of nowhere. Shisheng was standing at the bottom of it. Roar! Stupid human! Shisheng was speechless. He didn't really want to know what it was shouting about. Shisheng stretched out his hand and hooked his finger at the monkey. If you're not stupid, then why don't you come over? The monkey roared and beat its chest. With a kick of its feet, it shot directly at Shisheng. It was so fast that the naked eye could only see its shadow. Shisheng stood at the bottom of the rock and didn't do anything. Several figures stood in the bush where the original Shisheng was standing. They all stared at the scene with their mouths agape. Master, should we help her? One of them asked the man standing at the front carefully. The man was wearing a mask, so his face couldn't be seen. He looked at the girl who was still standing at the bottom of the rock. You know her? She's the young lady of the Feng family, Feng Jiyin. The man didn't say whether he should help her or not. The others didn't dare to say anything. They could only continue to watch. When the monkey was about to reach him, Shisheng used all his strength and dodged to the side. The monkey couldn't stop in time and crashed into the rock. Unable to withstand the impact, the mountain rock shattered into countless pieces, crashing down onto the monkey from above. The monkey's body fell to the ground as usual. Its chin hit a rock, and its sharp teeth bit into the energy ball in its mouth. A majestic force instantly spread out. The monkey's eyes widened. Bang! Shisheng was knocked to the side. A layer of dust fell off his body. Fortunately, he was fine. She looked at the big crater left and shook the dust off her body without caring about her image. I's food was so delicious. King idiot. Shisheng dragged her iron sword, walked around the crater created by the explosion and left. After Shisheng left, the group of people who were hiding in the dark were shocked. Master, what was that thing that exploded just now? Let's go and take a look. The man walked out from behind the bush. They were a little far from the place of the explosion. They could only see the scene when they got closer. In the huge pit, flashes of lightning were constantly flashing. The entire pit was emitting a terrifying power. The further they walked, the more uncomfortable they felt. Their legs trembled, and they had the urge to kneel down. After a long while, someone asked in a toneless voice, "What is this?" The big rock that had been standing here just now was completely gone. Only the broken stones scattered in the crater proved that there used to be a big rock here. The crater was very deep. It was at least 7 or 8 meters from the ground. The bottom of the crater was clean. The serious ape's corpse was nowhere to be seen. The soil in the crater seemed to have disappeared as well. Everyone looked at each other and at the crater. 10 seconds later, they shifted their gazes to the man. They had never seen such a strange phenomenon before. The man held an object and threw it into the crater. As soon as the object entered the crater, it was struck by lightning. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared from everyone's sight. Not even a piece of it was left. Silence. The man looked in the direction Shisheng had left and murmured, Feng Jiyin. Monkey. Am I going offline just like that? Little fairy, what else? Monkey. At least let me show off my power before I go offline. Feng Ci. You want to add more drama? I didn't even say anything. Monkey. Little fairy. Shisheng. Let me ask you an important question. Why did you eat my energy ball? Monkey. My tooth hurts. It hurts. Icy cool, you deserve it. Don't miss it when you pass by. Please buy it with a ticket. No credit and no credit cards. Cherub. Chapter 761. Shisheng didn't go far before he met a group of people. It was a small group sent by the Feng family to find someone. The leader was an elder of the Feng family. Seeing Shisheng standing in front of him unscathed, he almost cried tears of joy. If something happened, how would he explain it to the head of the family? There were also some Feng family members who were scattered in the group. When Shisheng came back, these people rushed over to ask about his well-being and tried to make their presence known in front of Shisheng. These children were all from the side branches. Although the original owner was a daughter of the family, her status was not lower than the young misses of the main branch. In the Feng family, there were many people who supported the original owner. If these people could gain the favor of the main branch, they would have a meteoric rise in the future. Shisheng said a few perfunctory words to these people. His eyes swept over the group, but he didn't see Feng Qingqing. Third young miss, what are you looking at? Third young miss, are you hungry? Do you want to eat something? Third young miss, Shisheng. Please don't talk. Isn't it good to be a quiet, beautiful girl? They were chattering like little swallows. No one was saying that they were the fifth elder brother. This is the Demon Flame Mountain Range, not the Feng family's training ground. What are you doing here? Shut up. A middle-aged man in the group scolded. The middle-aged man was tall and burly. The left side of his face was disfigured, and the flesh was stuck together. He looked a bit ferocious. When he yelled, he looked even more vicious. The others suddenly stopped talking. They seemed to be afraid of this man. This man was called Wan Quan. He was a tutor of the Feng family. The group quieted down. Wan Quan turned around and continued to walk forward. The others didn't dare to speak and obediently followed behind. The 3 words Demon Flame Mountain Range made these young boys and girls who weren't even 20 years old have a layer of haze in their hearts. This wasn't the Feng family. They could die at any time. The sky gradually darkened. Wan Quan directly ordered people to rest. The elder of the side branch was dissatisfied with Wan Quan's behavior, but he couldn't say anything. After eating, Wan Quan had people gather around. There are still 3 people that haven't been found. Tomorrow is the last day. If we still can't find them, we will leave the Demon Flame Mountain Range. Shisheng held his face and listlessly listened to these people's discussion. A batch of people had already been sent out, and this was the last batch. Wan Quan wasn't going to give up on the people he hadn't found. It was just that the Xian Beast's estrus period would be coming soon. The estrus period of Xian Beasts was very strange. Xian Beasts of the same rank would have similar estrus periods. Furthermore, Xian Beasts in heat were very difficult to deal with, so humans would not choose to enter the Devil Flame Ridge at this time. The next day, they only found 1 person. In the afternoon, Wan Quan gave the order to return. A young lady suddenly stood up and said anxiously, "Teacher, we haven't found Miss 7 yet. We can't just leave like this." Her words silenced the group instantly. Everyone's gaze fell on the young lady. The 7th young miss was Feng Qingqing. Wan Quan glanced at the young lady. "I already told you last night. But the 7th miss is alone in the Devil Flame Ridge. She will die." The little girl was very anxious. Her life is important, but so are all of us? Someone at the side was dissatisfied. What's more, 3rd miss is still here. If something happens to 3rd miss, who will take responsibility? Shisheng let go of her hand that was holding her face. Why did she have to pull her over? Even if she was lying down, she would still be shot. The little girl seemed to have been reminded of something and suddenly rushed toward Shisheng. Tears fell from her eyes. "3rd miss, please look for Miss 7. You are sisters. You can't just leave her to die." "I, 3rd miss, you have a kind heart. You will definitely save Miss 7, right?" "You, 3rd miss, I beg you." Shisheng put her hands on her hips. "Hey, sister, can't you let people speak? I'm not the one leading the group. What's the use of begging me? You should beg Teacher Wan to go. It's only useful if Teacher Wan agrees." Shisheng threw the responsibility to Wan Quan. She and the female lead were at odds, but this sister actually wanted her to go find the female lead. She was crazy. The sister looked at Shisheng with teary eyes. "You are the 3rd miss, ah. Your words will definitely be useful." "Oh, I'm not." Shisheng shrugged. "Whoever wants to be can be. Everyone." Was this something that could be said so casually? Just because you say you're not, you're not? The sister probably didn't expect Shisheng to say this. She muttered in disbelief. "3rd miss? How can you be like this? Miss 7 is your sister. How can you just leave her to die?" "I'm not related to her by blood." Shisheng glared at her. "Don't talk nonsense." It was hard to say whether or not Feng Qingqing was the daughter of the Feng family head. After all, according to the plot of novels, this kind of scumbag father was usually not the biological father. Even if the original owner was the adopted daughter of the Feng family, she wasn't related to Feng Qingqing at all. Also, Shisheng paused and suddenly raised her voice. How do you know she's going to die? Did you see it with your own eyes? The sister shook her head. I didn't. Shisheng interrupted the sister. Since you didn't, then why did you leave her to die? Did you eat the words leave her to die? Someone couldn't help but laugh. Feng Xiaolian, you want to die, but we don't. We've been looking for Miss Seven for so long, maybe Miss Seven. If you want to stay and look for her, you can stay. That's right. Are we going to sacrifice so many of our lives for her? I don't agree. I want to go out. No one agreed to continue looking. The sister angrily glared at Shisheng, as if the one who said no was Shisheng. Shisheng sighed and shook his non-existent bangs like an idiot. Good-looking people always had to take the blame. He was used to it, really used to it. Third miss, please take them out. I'll stay and look for Miss Seven. Wan Quan suddenly spoke. Everyone was in an uproar. Shisheng pointed at himself exaggeratedly. You want a little girl like me to take them out? Are you crazy? What kind of joke was this? She would definitely get into trouble if she took so many people with her. No way. There were also elders from her brother's side. Why did he call her name? Was this Wan Quan in cahoots with the female lead? There are always idiots who want to harm this treasure. Scared. Wan Quan's expression was serious. He ignored Shisheng's words. Third miss, you're already an adult. You need to have the ability to take responsibility alone. Take responsibility my ass. You want me to take the blame? I won't take it. Shisheng shook his head. No, I'm still young. I still need to be protected. Everyone. Third miss, what's wrong with you? Mentor Wan, third miss is more important. The elders from the side branch reminded him. The family head didn't care about Miss Seven at all. Compared to Miss Seven, third miss was much more important. The sister looked at Wan Quan pleadingly. Mentor Wan. Shisheng spread his hands. No matter what, I won't do it. At most, we'll all die together. Oh no, we'll all die together. Chapter 762. As the third miss of the family, Shisheng had the responsibility to lead the team, but she was unwilling to do so. After weighing the pros and cons, Wan Quan instructed the elder from the side branch to lead the team out of Demon Flame Ridge. He would bring that girl to Feng Qingqing. After Wan Quan was done, he glanced at Shisheng. Shisheng pulled the corner of her mouth and smiled back at him. Wan Quan took a deep breath and left with the girl. The group of disciples looked at Wan Quan anxiously. When he moved, they all began to panic. Teacher Wan. Teacher Wan, are you really leaving us? Teacher Wan. Clearly in their eyes, Wan Quan was their only guarantee of safety. Wan Quan didn't look back and soon disappeared in front of the disciples. The leader Feng Wu coughed. Okay, everyone get ready. We're going out. Teacher Wan is gone. What should we do? What if we meet a powerful mystical beast? Don't talk nonsense. We'll get out safely. Why don't we go with Teacher Wan? Someone suggested weakly. This suggestion made many people waver. No. Feng Wu rejected. We have to get out as soon as possible. Don't worry, we're still outside. The mystical beasts won't exceed level 2. We can handle them. Shisheng continued. Didn't we meet a level 5 sky wolf ape before? Feng Wu's mouth twitched, and he looked at Shisheng pleadingly. Third miss, please don't make trouble, okay? That's right. We've already met a level 5 one. If we meet a more powerful one, we'll lose our lives here. I don't want to die. Let's go with Teacher Wan. Teacher Wan is so powerful. He'll definitely protect us. Enough. Feng Wu acted like an elder and scolded. If you talk less, the mystical beasts won't be attracted. Feng Wu didn't agree. Although the disciples complained, they didn't dare to follow. They could only follow Feng Wu out of the Devil Flame Ridge. Shisheng leisurely followed behind. No matter who talked to her, she put on "I'm very cold, don't talk to me" expression. The disciples felt strange. Why was there something wrong with the third miss? In the past, third miss had a gentle personality. She would answer whoever spoke to her. Even if she didn't answer, she would still smile politely. Unlike now, he would throw a retard look whenever he had a disagreement. Why aren't we there yet? We've been walking for so long. When we came in, it didn't feel so far. I'm so tired. I can't walk anymore. Shall we rest here today? Rest. Fengwu looked at the time and saw that it was getting late. He had no choice but to agree. Everyone, hold on for a few more days. We'll be out of the Demon Flame Ridge soon. A few more days. Grumbling could be heard everywhere. Shisheng was munching on a fruit that no one knew where it came from, and slowly walked past the crowd. Third Miss, where are you going? Fengwu stopped Shisheng and said, You'd better stay with us. Don't wander around. If you have something to do, ask someone to go with you. Fengwu thought that Shisheng wanted to solve his personal problems, so he kindly suggested. Shisheng stuffed the last bit of fruit into his mouth, chewed it twice, swallowed it, and said, It's not safe here. Not safe. Fengwu looked around and didn't see anything wrong. Third Miss, what did you find? Nothing, Shisheng answered confidently. Fengwu. What do you mean by not safe? What's not safe? Shisheng looked around and said airily, It's my intuition. Believe it or not. She turned around and continued walking. Fengwu called her several times, but Shisheng ignored him. It wasn't until her figure was almost hidden by the trees that Fengwu hurriedly asked the people who had just sat down to rest to get up. By the time they reached Shisheng, he had already started the fire. Third Mississippi, Fengwu was a little out of breath. How can you start a fire? It'll attract the mystical beasts. These mystical beasts wouldn't be afraid of fire, unless their attributes were incompatible. Oh, Shisheng answered calmly. But it's already born. Put it out. Before the mystical beasts notice. Fengwu said and was about to kick the fire. Shisheng stopped Fengwu with the stick in his hand. Third Miss? I didn't ask you to follow me, Shisheng said calmly. You can go somewhere else. How can we do that? I have to protect you. When they came out, the patriarch had repeatedly warned them to protect Third Mississippi. Shisheng gritted his teeth speechlessly, took back the stick, and waved his hand impatiently. Do whatever you want. Fengwu hurriedly put out the fire. When he turned around, Shisheng was already gone. Where's Third Miss? Did you see her? Fengwu grabbed the nearest disciple. The disciple pointed at the tree beside them. Fengwu ran under the tree and looked up. Shisheng was lying on the tree trunk with a strange square object in his hand. Only then did he heave a sigh of relief. Why did Third Miss seem to be hyperactive recently? In the middle of the night, all the disciples were sound asleep. The disciples who were on night duty kept yawning and fighting to keep their eyelids open. They had been on the road for the whole day. How could they not be tired? Shisheng looked down from the tree trunk. Fengwu was sitting under the tree trunk yawning. He forced himself to stay awake and look around vigilantly. But after a while, sleepiness came over him and his eyelids became heavier and heavier. Just as he was about to fall asleep, something fell from above and hit his shoulder. Fengwu woke up immediately and looked around vigilantly. It was very quiet. There was nothing. Fengwu looked at his shoulder curiously. There was nothing there. Was it an illusion? An annoyed voice suddenly sounded above his head. Get lost and go to sleep. Fengwu looked up and saw that his Third Miss was still lying there in the same position as before. The strange object in her hand was emitting a faint light that reflected off her cheeks. Her gaze was fixed on the object in her hand and not him. Third Miss. Did Third Miss speak just now? Why did he feel like he was hallucinating? I'll keep watch, Shisheng said calmly. He didn't care whether Fengwu would go or not. Fengwu stared at Shisheng for a while. Seeing that she was ignoring him, he lowered his head and looked around. Although he wanted to sleep, he resisted the urge. He couldn't let anything happen to Third Mississippi. He couldn't sleep. It wasn't until dawn when the disciples got up that Fengwu felt relieved and went to take a nap. However, he didn't expect that something would happen when he took a nap. A disciple was bitten by a snake when he went to relieve his physiological needs. The snake was highly poisonous and ordinary antidote pills were useless. Fengwu had warned them that the Devil Flame Ridge was dangerous at any time, but they had let their guard down. Now that they were about to accept their fate, Feng Wu was also very worried. Chapter 763. Shisheng looked at the group of people anxiously running around in circles. He couldn't stand it anymore, so he jumped down from the tree and pushed away a few disciples who were blocking his way. He stood there and began to point fingers. Give him the poison first, and feed him the antidote pill every 2 hours. If you can get out of here within 3 days, he might be able to keep his life. Just when everyone thought she was done, she slowly added, but even if he keeps his life, he will probably be paralyzed. The best way now is. Everyone's gazes, including Feng Wu, landed on Shisheng. The corner of Shisheng's lips curled up into a wicked smile. She slowly spat out 3 words, kill him. Everyone. Third young miss, this isn't the time to joke. Please be a little nervous. Someone is going to die. It's better to end the pain quickly than to prolong the pain. Instead of letting him live in pain, it's better to let him die now. If you take him with you, he might drag you down. Third young miss. Feng Wu interrupted Shisheng. His face was a little heavy. Wan Quan gave you to me and I promised to bring you out safely. Feng Wu's appearance was ordinary, his cultivation was ordinary, and his personality was also very ordinary. His words made Shisheng take a second look. If you don't give up on him, so many people might die because of him. Don't you think it's a loss to use so many people to exchange for one life? The others' expressions changed. From the fact that they could give up on Feng Qingqing, they weren't that united. If they took someone who couldn't move, their speed would be much slower. If something really happened, they might lose their lives because of it. They definitely couldn't joke around with their lives. Several disciples wanted to say something, but before they could, the disciple who was bitten cut them off. Instructor Feng Wu, third young miss is right. I can't drag you down. You should leave quickly. Don't speak. Feng Wu pulled off the bandage on the disciple's leg. The place where he was bitten had already turned black. Feng Wu bent down and helped him suck out the poison. Shisheng pursed his lips. Idiot. The poison blood was sucked out, and it was only when the blood turned bright red that Feng Wu bandaged it up. Male disciples, take turns to carry him. Pack up and set off. Shisheng watched them move and looked at the pale-faced disciple without saying a word. Third Mississippi. Feng Wu walked up to Shisheng and said in a low voice, You don't understand how hard it is for people like us to survive. Who has it easy? Shisheng's face was full of sarcasm. Do people living at the top of the pyramid have it easy? If you don't work hard and contribute, how can you stand at the top of the pyramid and look down on the world? I don't want to complain. I just want to tell Third Miss that I will do my best to help when I can. Shisheng looked at Feng Wu. Oh, then why don't you go find Feng Qingqing? Feng Wu's expression changed slightly, and he didn't say anything for a long time. Shisheng pursed his lips. Selfishness isn't scary. What's scary is the high-sounding reason used to justify it. Selfishness was selfishness. There was nothing to hide in Shisheng. Because she was human, she had selfishness. Everyone had selfishness. It was just a matter of how big this selfishness would be and whether it would make you explode. Feng Wu lowered his head even more. Third Miss, when did you find out? Now. Feng Wu was startled. Third Miss? So who is he to you? Shisheng didn't want to say anything, but Feng Wu wanted to talk to her, and had to give her a reason. Shisheng waved his hand. Forget it. You don't need to say anything. I'm not interested in knowing. There were many people with secrets. She wasn't interested in digging up everyone's secrets. Shisheng didn't ask Feng Wu anymore, which made Feng Wu sigh in relief. He wasn't just doing what the head of the household told him to do. He was also feeling a bit of fear. He always felt that Third Miss seemed to have seen through everything. She didn't seem like a 16-year-old girl. Instead, she seemed to have experienced great ups and downs and seen great bloodshed. But Feng Wu immediately threw this thought away. Third Miss was so young. How could she have experienced all this? Because of the wounded, the team's speed was obviously slower. Seeing that 3 days were about to pass, Feng Wu became more and more anxious and urged everyone to hurry up. Shisheng and a few disciples lagged behind. The disciples discussed while hurrying along. They talked about the Feng family and the level 5 Xian beast from before. That's strange. We haven't seen many Xian beasts along the way. One of the disciples suddenly said. I heard that the Xian beasts in the periphery aren't high level, but they are still very common. Why? Do you still want to see Xian beasts? I wish I couldn't see them now. I just think it's strange. It's not normal. Estrus is coming. She probably went on a date, Shisheng interrupted. She has to prepare for a happy sex life in the future. It's normal to not see her. A few disciples looked back and were speechless. Third miss. You're a girl. Can you not speak without thinking? It's okay for boys to say such things, but you're a girl. Where's your restraint? Where's your image? Why are you looking at me? Did I say something wrong? Shisheng glared back. The disciples immediately shook their heads. No. One of the disciples suddenly reached out to stop the person next to him. He asked curiously, Did you hear something? What's that? A large army is coming toward you. Shisheng leaned over with a smile on his face. Hurry up and run. Otherwise, it'll be too late. It's starting to be dramatic. I'm so scared. It's so easy to guess the plot of a plot. Mom doesn't have to worry about me being tricked anymore. There was a burst of flapping sounds in the distance. The ground shook more and more violently. It seemed that a large army was running toward them. The disciples looked at Shisheng in astonishment. The team in front also heard the noise and stopped. They were confused. What's that sound? What's going on? It's coming from behind. Rumble. The sound was getting closer and closer. It was getting closer and closer. The towering tree in front of them suddenly began to collapse and fell from the sky. Ah! Oh no, run! Feng Wu suddenly shouted. Protect 3rd Mississippi. When they came to their senses, they looked at the place where Shisheng had been standing. He was nowhere to be seen. That familiar figure had already run to the front. Everyone was speechless. Of course, they didn't have time to complain. They quickly ran behind Shisheng. The deafening sound behind them made them not dare to look back. They didn't know what was making such a loud noise. Chapter 764. Countless Xian beasts galloped over from afar. Those who were slow were trampled into meat pies. The huge group of people scattered as they ran. Shisheng ran the fastest. No one could keep up with her, so in the end, there was no one behind her. With no one around, Shisheng took out her sword and flew into the sky. Looking from the sky, the trees in the distance were collapsing. It was like a scene of doomsday. Various Xian beasts could be vaguely seen in the billowing smoke. Shisheng sat on the iron sword and looked down at the countless Xian beasts galloping under her feet. However, when she looked back, she saw a group of dark creatures rushing toward her. Damn it! Damn it! How could she forget about flying in the sky? Shisheng hurriedly controlled the iron sword to fly forward. The iron sword didn't fly very far. Suddenly, a few figures appeared in front of it. They stepped on the tops of trees and quickly flew forward. Shisheng flew past them with a whoosh. It was unknown who had reflexively sent a burst of Xian Qi toward Shisheng. Shisheng dodged the Xian Qi and stopped the iron sword. Then he looked at the people behind him. There were 4 people in total. All of them were handsome and delicate men. They were wearing the same pure white clothes, which looked a bit like ceremonial clothes. Shisheng looked at the man on the far left according to the direction of the Xian Qi. 2 of the men didn't stop as they quickly passed by Shisheng. The remaining 2 slowed down as they stepped on the canopy to meet Shisheng's gaze. What's wrong with you? Why did you hit I for no reason? I'm sorry, little girl. Ha ha ha. I thought it was one of those guys who can fly. The man who hit her apologized frankly. Bah. Have you ever seen a guy as good-looking as I who can fly? Damn it, idiot. The man. What bah? Shisheng didn't continue to pester him. He controlled the iron sword to fly forward. The 2 men looked at the iron sword Shisheng was sitting on and felt strange. However, the rumbling sounds behind them gave them no time to think about it. They moved slightly and chased after the people in front of them. After flying for a long time, Shisheng saw the edge of the Devil Flame Ridge, but the noise behind him didn't decrease. Those Xian beasts were running out of the Devil Flame Ridge. Outside the Devil Flame Ridge was a desolate mountain. From afar, Shisheng saw a group of people in white standing in a straight line outside the Devil Flame Ridge. Shisheng. What was he doing? Did he run into a pyramid scheme? Shisheng's iron sword was much faster than the 4 people. She rushed out of the Devil Flame Ridge and stopped above the group of people. Miss, don't stay here. Leave quickly. The people below shouted at her. Shisheng rolled his eyes and swooped down from the sky. When he was about to reach the ground, he jumped down and landed beside a man. What are you doing? At this moment, the 4 men behind Shisheng also came out. They landed on the ground and looked at Shisheng strangely. The speed of her sword was so fast. Someone came forward to talk to them, and they looked away. What's the situation inside? Not very good. One of them replied. We have to activate the array quickly. There are still people inside. We have to wait. Get ready. The 4 people immediately walked to the group and stood in line. The man beside Shisheng said, Miss, please don't disturb us. What are you doing? The man didn't hide anything. We can't let the Xian beasts out. Shisheng blinked. They just said array. And they said they can't let the Xian beasts out. They can't be thinking of using the array to stop the Xian beasts, right? Tizkete. Amazing. Shisheng looked at their clothes and searched for the plot. He finally found the relevant plot. These people were from the state preceptor's residence. The Tianyan continent was divided into 3 countries. The country she was in was called the Blue Empire. In the Blue Empire, the state preceptor's residence was extremely respected. Instead of being respected, the people of the Blue Empire feared the state preceptor's residence. Shisheng tactfully retreated and found a place to squat down and eat melon seeds. Someone looked back at her. Why was this girl not nervous at all? Why was she eating melon seeds so leisurely? Why did it feel like they were acting for her? Before Shisheng finished eating melon seeds, people appeared one after another at the edge of the forest. They ran out of the forest in a panic. Some of them were from the Feng family, and some of them didn't know. Seeing Shisheng squatting in the distance, the people of the Feng family gathered around. 3rd Mississippi, Shisheng glanced at these embarrassed people and silently handed over a handful of melon seeds. Everyone. They were almost scared to death. Who would be in the mood to eat melon seeds? Although they thought so, they still took the melon seeds. What a joke. These were from the 3rd Miss. How could they dare to refuse? More and more people came out of the Devil Flame Ridge. The people of the Feng family directly surrounded Shisheng. Since Shisheng was squatting, they didn't dare to be too abrupt. They could only follow Shisheng and squat down. Therefore, the first thing people saw when they came out of the Devil Flame Ridge was not the disciples of the state preceptor's residence standing in a row, but the people of the Feng family squatting in a row. There's no time. Start the array. The disciples of the state preceptor's residence shouted. Those who were still at the edge of the forest rushed out quickly regardless of their tiredness. The disciples of the state preceptor's residence stood with their backs to Shisheng. Shisheng didn't know what they were doing. He could only see their movements. With their movements, the edge of the Devil Flame Ridge suddenly began to emit a strong white light. Even in the daytime, it was still dazzling. The white light quickly spread upward and gradually covered the green Devil Flame Ridge. Bang! Something seemed to hit the white light. The white light shook slightly and receded like a tide, revealing the green canopy. Puff! 2 disciples of the state preceptor's residence suddenly vomited blood and staggered forward. With these 2 people's problems, the others also suffered one after another. The whole team was in chaos in an instant. The white light faded quickly. 3rd Miss, 3rd Miss. The disciples of the Feng family looked at the white light uneasily. Let's retreat. Bah! Shisheng spat out the melon seed shell in his mouth and continued to eat melon seeds. Why should we retreat? If we want to die, we should die first. Why are you in such a hurry? The disciples of the Feng family. Although what you said is very reasonable, why do I feel that something is wrong? The others around had begun to retreat. Who knew if the people of the state preceptor's residence could stop the Xian beasts? Let's run first. Soon, only the people of the Feng family were left. They were still squatting and seemed to be anxious. Puff! Another disciple of the state preceptor's residence vomited blood. The white light in front of them weakened a little. The white light had retreated to the tree trunk. The rumbling sound of rushing was like a drum beating in everyone's heart. Asterisk, please vote. Please vote. Chapter 765. What is that? The Feng family disciple suddenly pointed at Demon Flame Ridge, looking shocked. Shisheng raised his head and saw a Kirin. Its body was covered in red scales, and its feet were on fire. It was fighting someone. The person fighting the Kirin was none other than Feng Qingqing. Feng Qingqing had captured a Kirin in Demon Flame Ridge. It was written in the story, but it wasn't a blood Kirin. Where had this blood Kirin come from? Just as Shisheng was feeling confused, another figure leapt up to help Feng Qingqing deal with the blood Qilin. The white light at the edge of Demon Flame Ridge had retreated to the bottom. A few people rushed out of the white light. Wan Quan was in the lead, and Feng Wu and the others were behind him. The white light was already flickering, but when they rushed out, it became even weaker. It was like a candle that was about to go out. Just as the white light was about to disappear, it suddenly grew brighter. It jumped up a few meters, and the light was so bright that Shisheng couldn't open his eyes. The disciples of the state teacher's manor were in a panic, but when they saw this, they all returned to their positions and repeated their previous actions. Shisheng adjusted to the light, and the white light returned to its original position. The speed of its growth slowed down. Suddenly, a shrill roar came from the sky. It sounded angry, and flames fell from the sky. The forest was on fire, and the white light was dyed red. Feng Qingqing wanted to capture the blood Kirin. But this blood Kirin wasn't as easy to capture as the one in the story. It wasn't willing to submit to humans. Even though the male lead was helping Feng Qingqing, she couldn't capture the blood Kirin. Shisheng continued to munch on his sunflower seeds. The fire was burning, and the angry blood Kirin was roaring. But Feng Qingqing didn't care. Just as the Feng family disciple was about to grab Shisheng and run, she suddenly stood up. Before anyone could react, she was gone. They looked around, and they saw her at the edge of Demon Flame Ridge. Shisheng was holding his sword, and he was running towards the blood Kirin. The blood Kirin thought Shisheng was helping the two humans, so it opened its mouth and spat out icicles. Dong! Clang clang! The icicle hit the iron sword, but didn't even leave a mark. Shisheng stepped back and almost fell from the sky. The blood Kirin was different from the other Kirins in that it was an all-element sacred beast. Not only could he use fire, but he could also use ice, water, metal. Ordinary Xian beasts usually had a single element. Fire element was fire element, and very few had two elements. The classification of humans was similar to that of Xian beasts. It was best to have a single element, followed by two elements. In their opinion, those with more than 3 elements would not be able to achieve anything. But Feng Qingqing had 4 elements. Her space had a cultivation method that could balance the relationships between several elements. Later on, Feng Qingqing would become a full-element cultivator. Shisheng shook his numb hand and looked at Feng Qingqing and the man next to her. The man was wearing a mask, so Shisheng could only see his eyes. There was a hint of disdain in them. Needless to say, this was definitely the male lead Helianyu. When Feng Qingqing saw Shisheng, she thought it was strange. But before she could think about it, the blood Kirin's next wave of attacks had begun. Feng Qingqing's body was covered in blood. She looked terrible, but she had not been defeated. Shisheng stood next to her and didn't do anything. Feng Qingqing didn't know what Shisheng was going to do, so she was distracted. The blood Kirin slapped her with its claws. He Lianyu helped Feng Qingqing block the blood Kirin, giving her time to recover. Shisheng, who hadn't moved, suddenly moved. She came between He Lianyu and the blood Kirin, helping the blood Kirin suppress He Lianyu. He Lianyu was forced to fall back. He Lianyu hadn't expected her to help the blood Kirin. Let's go. Shisheng looked at the blood Kirin. The blood Kirin looked at Shisheng with confusion. Didn't she want to contract with it? Not interested. This guy was so big, but he wasn't cute at all. She didn't like him. The blood Kirin was speechless. If she wasn't interested, then why was she helping him fight the humans? Shisheng laughed, and his voice sounded evil. I can help the humans fight you too. If you don't want to leave, then you can change sides. It doesn't make a difference to me. The Blood Kirin roared. The fire beneath its feet disappeared, and a gust of wind swirled around its feet. It turned its head and ran in a certain direction. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared into the horizon. He Lianyu wanted to chase after it, but a cold iron sword stopped him. The power of the iron sword made He Lianyu scared. He had never seen a weapon that was so sharp before. It wasn't hidden at all. It was as if it was afraid that no one would know it was a godly weapon. A real weapon would hide its light and return to its original state. But this sword, Shisheng saw him stop, and his lips curled into a mocking smile. She doesn't want to, and you're forcing her like this. What's the difference between this and rape? He Lianyu was speechless. Feng Qingqing came up from below, and saw the two of them confronting each other. Where's the Kirin? Feng Qingqing asked He Lianyu. It ran away. Are you going to wait for someone to take it? Are you going to wait for someone to rape you? It was Shisheng who answered. Feng Qingqing hated the original owner of the body. She believed that the tragedy of her previous life was caused by the original owner of the body. Feng Qingqing was a bit angry at Shisheng's retort, but she suppressed it and forced herself to calm down. Rumble. Chapter 766. Third Miss. Some of the Feng family disciples had already run away, but some stood in place and kept shouting. Run. Shisheng landed where the Feng family disciples were and rolled her eyes. Are you waiting to be minced meat? Feng family disciples. We are waiting for you. Shisheng followed the Feng family disciples and ran to the nearest city. Because they were the last to reach the city gate was already closed and all kinds of defense arrays had been activated. At this time, it was impossible to open the gate for them. The city wall was full of people, and they all looked down at the team of about 20 people. Third Miss, what should we do? If they don't open the gate, the Xian beasts will come. Third Miss, Shisheng looked up at the city wall. Among the crowd, Shisheng saw Feng Wu, Feng Qingqing, and the others. The array over there hasn't been activated yet. Let them come in from there, someone on the city wall said. She destroyed the array of the divine guards. If it weren't for her, these Xian beasts wouldn't have come out at all. Why should we open the gate for her? Some people in the crowd shouted excitedly, and the surrounding noise suddenly disappeared. Which eye of yours saw I destroy it? Shisheng was furious. It was clearly He Lianyu who destroyed it. Why should I take the blame? I won't do it. The other party shouted. Someone saw it with their own eyes. Don't open the gate. Don't let her in. It's all her fault. Don't let her in. Don't let her in. Don't let her in. The people on the city wall actually shouted slogans. Shisheng gritted her teeth and put one hand on her waist. She stabbed her iron sword into the ground, as if she would take out her sword and slash at them in the next second. Third Miss, the Xian beasts are coming. The Feng family disciples surrounded Shisheng, and their voices were trembling. They had already seen the Xian beasts running at the front. If they are coming, then so be it. Do you want I to welcome them? Shisheng was full of anger at this time, so his words were naturally unpleasant. The Feng family disciples. The Xian beasts were coming. They would die before they entered the city. The Xian beasts didn't stop at all, and directly charged towards the city. Shisheng stabbed the iron sword into the ground. With the iron sword as the center, a layer of dust rose and spread outwards. The fastest Xian beasts were overturned by an invisible force and crashed into the Xian beast army, causing chaos among the Xian beasts. The Feng family's disciples were all dumbfounded. Oh my God, when did Third Miss become so powerful? Sensing the danger, the Xian beasts started to circle around the area where the iron sword had spread out, and continued to run towards the city walls. Thus, a very strange phenomenon appeared below the city walls. With the crowd as the center, no Xian beast dared to enter within a radius of 5 meters. They all ran past from both sides, forming a vacuum zone. This time, not only were the Feng family disciples dumbfounded, but the people on the city wall were also dumbfounded. Shisheng drew his iron sword and said, Go and break their formation. It was still the same words. If they were to die, they would all die together. If she wasn't allowed to go in, then no one would have a good time. Wong wong wong. Why is it me again? Shisheng glared at I. If you don't go, do you want me to tear down the city walls with my bare hands? Wong wong. You can, master. Scram. The iron sword vibrated a few times and reluctantly flew into the sky. It flew in the opposite direction of the city. Everyone was dumbfounded. Did it really run away from home? However, just a few seconds later, a ray of light shot over from afar. It pierced through the air and went straight into the city gate. Space seemed to be frozen for a moment. In the next second, the city gate cracked open, and there seemed to be a cracking sound. The defensive formations surrounding the city wall were destroyed one by one. Before anyone could react, the Xian beasts had already rushed out of the city gate and entered the city. The Xian beasts in the sky swooped into the crowd on the city wall and screamed. Shisheng took out some melon seeds, squatted on the ground, and continued to eat them. Come and eat some melon seeds to calm down. She also distributed the melon seeds to the dumbfounded Feng family disciples. Feng family disciples. They couldn't calm down at all. Things were already like this. They had no right to speak. They could only take Shisheng's melon seeds and squat on the ground to eat them. Feng Qingqing looked through the chaotic crowd at the person standing below. The young girl was squatting on the ground and eating melon seeds without a care for her image. There was no need to mention how strange the scene was. Shisheng probably felt Feng Qingqing's gaze. He slightly raised his head and accurately met Feng Qingqing's gaze. The two people's gazes met in the air and sparks seemed to fly. Seventh young miss, let's go. Someone pulled Feng Qingqing. Feng Qingqing staggered and the person next to her blocked her view. When she looked down again, Shisheng had already lowered his head and was focused on eating melon seeds. The Xian beasts passing through was simply destroying the world. When all the Xian beasts ran past the city walls could no longer be seen. There was only a pile of ruins and black smoke curling up. There was a thick smell of blood in the air. Third young miss. How did you? Among the Feng family disciples, a girl stood out with a pale face. Her eyes were filled with fear. So many people are dead. Shisheng patted his skirt and stood up. The others also stood up one after another and supported each other. Most people couldn't accept it. The people in this city died because of their third young miss. You think they are innocent? Shisheng looked at them. Although they were angry that these people didn't open the city gates for them, the other people in the city were innocent. What did they do wrong? The city. There are many innocent people in the city. Third young miss, you should have the ability to protect us. Why did you have to break the city gates? If I didn't break it, the city gates would have been broken sooner or later. They would still have died. I just moved the time forward. The sooner they die, the sooner they can reincarnate. Shisheng's face was uncaring. She paused and her expression was a bit mocking. Also, whether I can protect you or what method I use to protect you, that's my business. She had no obligation to protect them. Now they were pointing fingers at her. They were crazy. The people in the city were innocent, but weren't they innocent? If she didn't have the ability today, they would have died. Would the people in the city feel sad for them? A bunch of idiots. But the girl still couldn't accept it. These were human lives. Why did it seem like they were ants in the eyes of the third young miss? Not worth mentioning at all. How did the third young miss become so cold-blooded? Stop talking. A male disciple next to her pulled the girl. If it weren't for the third young miss, we would have died. And those people in the city watched us die. Shisheng glanced at the male disciple. Don't always think about how kind the people in this world are. Kindness is targeted. I saved you now. Isn't that kindness for you? There was no absolute good and evil. Chapter 767. Host, you're too much. The system couldn't stand it anymore. It's fine as long as you're happy playing games. This is a virtual world. Why are you saying that I'm too much? Why does the host always want to cause trouble in this world? Besides, they were the ones who framed me first. I'm an idiot if I don't take revenge. I didn't do anything wrong. She had only broken their formation. She hadn't done anything. The Xian beasts were the ones who did it. She wasn't going to take the blame. I've had enough of such a stubborn host. This isn't a game. Please don't treat these people like NPCs. From Shisheng's point of view, these people were NPCs, so no matter how much the system yelled, it was useless. The system was so angry that it didn't want to say anything. It wanted to find its master. A few of the Feng family disciples couldn't accept Shisheng's actions. They left the group and returned to the family. Shisheng just looked at them calmly. He wasn't angry or anything else. It didn't matter to her what they chose. She saved their lives casually. She didn't care if they were grateful. As long as she was happy, it was fine. Crunch, crunch, crunch. There were only 7 Feng family disciples left. They looked speechlessly at Shisheng, who was still eating melon seeds. How many melon seeds did she put on her body? No, that wasn't the point. Third young lady, are we going back to the family? Feng'an, who was slightly older, asked Shisheng carefully. Yes. If they didn't go back, how could they watch the female lead? Feng'an was only a collateral disciple. He didn't have the chance to come into contact with the higher-ups. He only heard that the third young lady was quite easy to get along with. After this incident, Feng'an felt that she wasn't easy to get along with. She was the kind of person who would kill the entire city if she didn't agree with you. Feng'an lived at the bottom of the Feng family. He had seen a lot of dirty things. If they wanted to live, they had to be strong. Although he felt that Shisheng had gone too far, he knew that if it weren't for Shisheng, they would all be dead. A large group of Xian beasts had rampaged across the continent and destroyed countless cities. The news that the culprit was the third young lady of the Feng family spread like wildfire. At the same time, the news that she had broken the defense formation and let the Xian beasts into the city also spread. Feng Jian's name had become the target of hatred in many people's hearts. It was all because of her that their families were ruined, and they were forced to wander about. Even if Shisheng heard people cursing her, she could still walk past them without changing her expression. However, Feng'an and the others who followed her felt that it was unfair. Their third miss was not as hateful as the rumors said. A vicious woman like Feng Jian should be cut into pieces. She's only a scourge in this world. Cutting her into 1,000 pieces is already too easy for her. If it were up to me, we should pull her out and throw her onto the streets so that everyone can see what her heart is made of. Blah blah blah. Third miss, they've gone too far. Feng'an couldn't take it anymore and walked over to Shisheng. He did not deny that the third young miss was responsible for the destruction of the city, but the third young miss was not the one who had driven the profound beasts onto the continent. It was the failure of the Imperial Advisor's Divine Guard's defense that led to the appearance of the profound beasts on the continent. How could this be blamed on the third miss? It was no longer just these 2 incidents. As long as a part of the continent was destroyed by the profound beasts, Shisheng would be blamed. Oh, then you can just kill them. Shisheng's expression was indifferent. Feng'an's expression changed slightly. There were so many people here. How could they escape if they killed them? Since you don't have the guts to kill them, then let them talk. Just let them talk. Don't think too much about it. You're not that big-hearted. Shisheng patted Feng'an's shoulder in a serious tone. Feng'an. Why did it sound like he was the one being cursed by the entire continent? Feng'an and the others had planned to rest in the city for the night, but after hearing these people's curses, they decided to continue their journey. Third miss, there's someone up ahead. The disciple who was scouting ahead hurried back. They look like the Divine Guards. The Divine Guards? Shisheng raised his eyebrows slightly. Someone had mentioned this before. She thought for a moment. This name seemed to be used for the people from the Imperial Advisor's residence. Yes, they're just up ahead. Something seems to have happened. The Divine Guards hadn't appeared since they left the Devil Flame Ridge. The Xian beasts were rampaging on the continent. Even the people from the Empire came out to command them, but the Imperial Advisor's residence didn't do anything. Shisheng asked the disciple to lead the way. They were now at a high place. The Divine Guards had stopped on a small path at the foot of the mountain. The atmosphere was very solemn. Many people looked nervously at the carriage in the middle. However, it was very quiet inside the carriage. Only the mountain breeze could be heard rustling the translucent veil around them. The four corners of the veil were decorated with palace bells. The bells rang softly in the mountains. About 2 hours later, the bells suddenly stopped ringing. The swaying veil maintained its final arc and stopped moving in the air. The divine guards looked at the carriage nervously. When the bells rang again, the divine guards immediately surrounded the carriage. However, they didn't dare to show any signs of nervousness. They stood respectfully around the carriage. The heavy veil inside was lifted by a hand. A light purple robe was revealed. Slowly, the waist and chest were revealed. He stood outside the carriage with his hands behind his back. The veil with the palace bells fluttered, making his figure look hazy. The veil slowly fell down. He jumped down from the carriage. When he stood on the ground, the veil behind him calmed down. There was no more sound. Imperial advisor. The divine guards knelt down together. The man's back was facing Shisheng. Shisheng couldn't see what he looked like. However, judging from his temperament, he couldn't be too ugly. Have you seen enough? A very clear voice sounded in Shisheng's ears. Her body stiffened and she suddenly turned around. A slightly invasive face appeared in her eyes. Shisheng didn't pay attention to the man's appearance. Instead, he paid attention to the feeling he gave off. It was a kind of feeling that could make people see him even in the midst of countless red flowers and green willows. It was very noticeable and abnormally eye-catching. However, it wasn't a kind of beauty. It was a kind of aggressiveness that made people wary. This man, he was standing below her a moment ago. In the blink of an eye, he was standing behind her. The surrounding air felt stagnant. The disciples of the Feng family stood motionless not far away. It was as if they were frozen. Controlling time. It's not time. It's space. The man's voice was clear, but it didn't fluctuate much. The defense array set up by the Imperial Advisor's residence was Helian Yu's doing. She didn't do anything. When the city was broken, some people might think that she was too cold-blooded. It didn't matter. She was set to be cold-blooded. Just like the novel said. She always felt that she was in a virtual world. The people she killed were all NPCs. She didn't feel that there was anything wrong with it. Chapter 768. You know what I'm thinking? Shisheng narrowed his eyes. A faint smile appeared on the man's lips, and his aggressiveness became even stronger. He opened his mouth and said, I know what everyone is thinking. Shisheng relaxed his body. Is that so? Then guess what I'm thinking now? The man looked into Shisheng's eyes. He seemed to see himself in her eyes, but it also seemed like he didn't. It was a little illusory. After a while he said, You're not thinking about anything. Shisheng blinked and tilted his head. Guess again. This time, the man didn't need to look into her eyes to know what she was thinking. He frowned slightly. Shisheng smiled and asked, Lord State Preceptor, I'm looking for someone to warm my bed. Are you interested? He really didn't need to do anything. Yinwei, the owner of the State Preceptor's residence. Feng Xiai, Feng Jin. Yinwei called out to her as if she didn't hear what she just said. Why did you destroy my array? Shisheng. When did this Baobao destroy your array? When did I destroy your array? Isn't this the first time we've met? Don't think that you can talk nonsense just because you're Feng Xiai. Devil Flame Ridge. Yinwei reminded Shisheng. Be reasonable. Shisheng was furious. It was clearly Helian Yu who destroyed it. I won't take the blame. It didn't matter what others said, but he couldn't. Yinwei looked at the girl in front of her. She was beautiful and her expression was confident. She was undoubtedly beautiful. However, there was an elusive darkness around her. It was as if she would step into an endless abyss if she wasn't careful. What evidence do you have? Yinwei looked away. Shisheng asked. What evidence do you have to prove that I did it? Yinwei didn't answer. Shisheng felt that the surroundings were still for a few seconds. When he blinked, Yinwei was already gone. The palace bell rang below. The carriage and the group had already traveled a distance. Shisheng. My Feng Xiai is amazing. He's so amazing this time. Space and time were two completely different concepts. Yinwei could control space. Feng and the others looked at the team that had already set off in confusion. Strange. When did they start moving? I don't know. We arrived there in the blink of an eye. The Feng family's disciples all had the same feeling. In the blink of an eye, the troops that were sent down suddenly disappeared from their previous location and appeared in the distance. Shisheng jumped down from the mountain and chased after the carriage. Third Miss, wait. Third Miss, the captain of the Divine Guards, looked at the people chasing after them and carefully retreated to the side of the carriage. Lord State Preceptor, should we drive them away? Let her be. The captain felt a little strange, but he didn't dare to ask. Yes. The inside of the carriage was clearly swaying, but there wasn't the slightest bit of shaking inside. Yinwei propped up her chin, and her lowered gaze landed on the small table beside her. There were a few paintings on the table, and on the paintings were beautiful women in all sorts of poses. His fingertip brushed across a painting, and in the next moment, all the paintings turned to dust. The corners of his mouth lifted slightly. Shisheng approached the Divine Guards. The Divine Guards wouldn't drive her away, but the Feng family's disciples couldn't. They would be scolded by the Divine Guards if they took one step closer. Shisheng walked quickly to the carriage, lifted the curtain and looked inside. The space inside the carriage was much larger than it looked outside, and the decorations were quite comfortable. There was a faint fragrance in the air. There was no one in the carriage. Third Miss Feng. The captain of the Divine Guards came from the side and bowed politely. Lord State Preceptor needs to rest. Please don't disturb him. Where is he? The captain didn't answer. Obviously, he didn't want to tell Shisheng, or maybe he had received an order not to tell Shisheng. Shisheng put down the curtain and walked back resentfully. The captain really didn't understand what the State Preceptor was thinking. After Shisheng left, he bowed to the carriage. Sir, Third Miss Feng has left. The carriage didn't move. The captain maintained this posture for a while. When he was about to speak, Shisheng, who had just left, rushed back and lifted the curtain quickly. It was still empty inside. Why are you bowing in front of an empty carriage? Shisheng put down the curtain and turned to look at the captain. The captain. Why did he come back? Third Miss Feng, I'm training my waist, the captain said without changing his expression. Shisheng glanced at his waist and said faintly, You can train your waist in bed. Practice more. It took the captain a while to realize what Shisheng was talking about. The corners of his mouth twitched. Was this Third Miss Feng a F***king girl? She had the nerve to say such things. And she said it so confidently. Did she have the shyness of a girl? I know you're here. It's okay if you don't want to see me. I have plenty of time. Shisheng turned and left. Damn it. It was amazing that he could control space. If it weren't for the fact that she was afraid that she would have to go to the next world if she killed him, she would have already taken out her sword. The last sentence was obviously not directed at the captain. The captain shook his head vigorously. Don't try to guess what the State Preceptor is thinking. Hidden mission. Offer the nation. As soon as Shisheng left the range of the Divine Guardian squad, the system issued a quest. Although this mission was of no use to the host. Mission target, Yinwei. With 10,000 miles of mountains and rivers as the betrothal gift, I will marry you. Shisheng. Why wasn't I the betrothal gift to marry him? Host, please remember that you're a girl, you're a girl, you're a girl. Important things must be said thrice. Girls should be delicate and weak. They know how to cry, act cute, and act coquettishly. Unlike the host, who likes to fight and kill and forcefully pamper men, she is one of a kind in the world. The country as the betrothal gift. I will conquer the country, give it to him, and let him transfer it to me. Isn't that enough? I'm a genius. Hashtag my host always wants to do it herself. Hashtag yep. But before that, he had to dismantle the couple. This was the most important thing. Hashtag is there something wrong with the host who is passionate about tearing apart the couple but is spreading dog food? Hashtag Shisheng didn't continue to follow Yinwei. Since he was sure that Yinwei was Feng Xi and wouldn't run away, he wasn't in a hurry. She had a certain confidence in Feng Xi. When Shisheng left, Yinwei didn't show any signs of abnormality. It was as if he just let a girl who had bad intentions follow him for a while. Whether she left or not, it didn't affect him at all. Asterisk system. Host, are you sick? Shisheng, do you have medicine? Fengxi, I am medicine. System, you're spreading dog food again. System owner, lock Fengxi in the little dark room. System, yes master, no problem master. Master, when are you coming back? System notification. Your master has disconnected. System. Why is my master the first to be locked in the little dark room? Master, come back. Chapter 769. When Shisheng returned to the Feng family, the Xian beasts had been driven back into the Devil Flame Ridge by the three empires. Only a few Xian beasts were still causing trouble on the continent. The three empires were still investigating the cause of the Xian beasts' riot. The Xian beasts came from the Kanglan Empire, so the other two empires took the opportunity to make trouble. The Kanglan Empire had to compensate them for the losses caused by the Xian beasts. The Kanglan Empire was the weakest among the three empires, so it was attacked by two empires at the same time. The news that Shisheng was the main culprit spread like wildfire. As soon as she returned, she was called to the Feng family head's study. The Feng family head rarely appeared in front of outsiders, and even if he did, he would speak as little as possible and just go through the motions. In the eyes of outsiders, the Feng family head was a very serious person, but he was very cunning, so those people gave the Feng family head the nickname Cold Face Fox. But in the original owner's memory, the Feng family head was a foster father who cared about her very much. In the original owner's memory, when she was in the Feng family, everyone called her Third Mississippi. When she was young, she also thought that she was the Feng family head's biological daughter, but later the Feng family head told her that she was his foster daughter, not his biological daughter. The Feng family head had been instilling this idea in her, so the original owner gradually realized that she was not the Feng family head's biological daughter. Father, Shisheng cutely called. The man on the head seat had a cold face. Time had left traces on his face, and there were wrinkles at the corners of his eyes. Although the lifespan of a cultivator would be extended, it was only extended, not immortal. Are you hurt? The Feng family had looked at Shisheng a few times, as if to determine whether she was injured or not. Shisheng shook her head. The Feng family head's face sank. What happened? The Feng family head was naturally asking about the matter of her being the main culprit on the continent. Helian, you framed me. When it was time to complain, it was time to complain. The Feng family head's face sank. Helian, you? Are you sure? Yes, it's him. It's that little bitch. Why did he frame you? Do you have a grudge against him? Did he do anything to you? The Feng family head asked 3 questions in a row, but the first and third questions were obviously repeated. Helian, you had already set her up. How could she not cry out? I am father's most beloved daughter, Shisheng suddenly said. Now that the two empires are attacking Songlan, what do you think he wants to do? With Shisheng's reminder, the Feng family head immediately understood. The rumor spread all over the continent suddenly. It was as if the entire continent knew about it overnight. Helian Yu was the emperor of the Red Flame Empire. The Red Flame Empire was the most powerful empire among the 3 great empires, so it was reasonable for him to cause trouble. After all, before going through life and death with the female lead, a male lead who didn't want to conquer the world wasn't a good male lead. When the male lead confirmed that he had fallen in love with the female lead, the two of them would usually end up living in seclusion in the mountains. Previously, he had spent so much effort and blood feud, but now that he had met the female lead, none of it was important anymore. Now what Shisheng wanted was this floating cloud. Therefore, no matter what the reason was for Helian Yu's sudden attack at that time, in Shisheng's heart, he wanted to cause trouble. If there was trouble, everyone should do it together. It was boring to do it alone. If Helian Yu really wanted to cause trouble, it wouldn't be long before someone proposed to hand her over, the main culprit. The Feng family head would definitely not agree. The result of not agreeing was that the two empires would have an excuse to start a war. And there would definitely be a rift between the Feng family head and the imperial family. At that time, wouldn't it be easy for Helian Yu to take over the Songlan Empire? The host was thinking too far ahead. She had just started and she had already thought of the other party's tactical ending. Didn't you not like to use your brain? Shisheng couldn't help but roll his eyes in his heart. This was obviously going to cause trouble. Of course, I had to think further to prevent myself from being schemed against. Idiot. Do you think everyone is like you, being poisoned without even knowing? It was better if it didn't speak. The host was too unfriendly. After Shisheng scolded the system, the Feng family head finally understood. The Feng family head's face was slightly gloomy, and his tone was gentle. Little Een, go back and rest first. Father will go to the palace. Shisheng nodded obediently and turned to leave the hall. The Feng family had hurriedly entered the palace. Shisheng returned to the original owner's boudoir according to his memory. It was a small independent attic with a very quiet environment. Third Miss, why did you come back so late? Mentor Wan and the others have been back for several days. The family head was almost worried to death. Yes, are you injured? The original owner's maids surrounded Shisheng. Shisheng said that he was fine. Only then did these maids relax and disperse to prepare their own things. Have Wan Quan and the others come back? Shisheng went up the small building and asked the maid who had been following him. The maid opened the door for Shisheng. Yes, they have been back for 4 days. But Mentor Wan seems to have been seriously injured. I heard that in order to save the 7th young miss, the family had lost his temper and locked the 7th young miss in the West Pavilion. She hasn't been let out yet. The Feng family could be said to be big, but it could also be said to be small. This news quickly spread throughout the Feng family. Wan Quan was a mentor that the Feng family had valued very much. Now that he had been seriously injured because of Feng Qingqing, the Feng family head, who had never treated Feng Qingqing well, of course wanted to take advantage of this opportunity. It was said that Wan Quan had also begged for mercy, which allowed Feng Qingqing to avoid being whipped. The news of Shisheng's return also quickly spread. People from all walks of life came to see him. They all had different thoughts and each had their own ulterior motives. Shisheng had people invite these people to the reception hall and stew them. Pay. Deal with it together. The men of the Feng family were all studying at the Imperial Academy and rarely came back. So at this time, only a group of girls came. As soon as Shisheng appeared, a girl dressed in pink immediately said, Third Jie, it's great that you're fine. There was also a smile on his young and tender face, but there was a bit of hatred in his eyes. Why didn't she die outside? There was no news of her before. So many people secretly guessed that she had died. If she died, she wouldn't be the only one who was happy. I've disappointed you, but I'm not dead. Shisheng sat in the main seat in the reception hall. The girl dressed in pink was embarrassed. Third Jie, what are you saying? It's best that you're fine. Shisheng knocked on the table and asked with a serious face, Didn't you want me to die and never come back? Third Jie, how can you think of me like that? I was truly worried about you. The girl dressed in pink's eyes turned red as she looked at Shisheng with a wronged expression. Truly worried about whether I'm dead or not. If that's what you think, then I'm just helping you say what you don't dare to say. No need to thank me. The girl dressed in pink had already begun to quietly sob. Third Jie, did I offend you in some way? If you say that about me, if I did something wrong, then tell me and I'll change. You didn't do anything wrong. You just didn't want me to come back alive. There's nothing wrong with that, it's human nature. Shisheng's face was calm. The original host was too favored in the Feng family, so it was normal for others to hate her. Chapter 770. The girl in pink ran away crying as if she had been humiliated. Shisheng smiled silently and looked at the people next to him. The head of the Feng family only had one biological daughter, who was set to be an illegitimate daughter. She was the only adopted daughter left. The head of the Feng family had many brothers, so the people here were all from the other branches. Because the head of the Feng family didn't have any biological children, the children of the other branches were all ranked. This meant that the head of the Feng family could choose a successor from them. If the head of the Feng family had children, these people wouldn't be ranked. She and Feng Qingqing were the only ones participating in this trial. The others all claimed that they were sick and didn't want to go. They weren't too old. and they had the support of their elders. Even if they didn't go, no one would dare to do anything to them. But now, it seemed that something was fishy. The girl in pink ran away, and the others looked at each other for a moment. The woman sitting at the front adjusted her expression and asked with concern. Third sister, why did you come back so late then Feng Qingqing? Did something happen on the way back? What does it have to do with you? Shi Sheng retorted with a single sentence. The woman's expression froze for a moment. Third sister, don't misunderstand. I'm just worried about you. She secretly looked at Shi Sheng. She was still the same person. Why did her temperament change so much? If you're here to ask if I'm dead, then I'm sorry. I'm not dead. I'm sorry to disappoint you. Shi Sheng raised her voice so that everyone in the hall could hear her. I'm just an adopted daughter. No matter how much you love me, I won't share the family property with you. So, go back to your families and find your fathers. Everyone. The hall was silent. Everyone looked at Shi Sheng in disbelief, as if she had just said something incredible. Shi Sheng calmly took out a handful of melon seeds. The crisp crunching sound broke the strange silence. Something was wrong with Feng Jiyin. That was the only thought in everyone's mind. Everyone looked Shi Sheng up and down. She was no different from the original Feng Jiyin. Why was her temperament? If you're done looking, then leave. I'll charge you if you keep looking. Do you think you can look at us so casually? A bunch of idiots. Everyone looked at each other and exchanged glances. Then they left the hall one after another. After exiting the hall, some people left first. A few people dawdled around. When they saw that most of the people had left, they immediately surrounded the woman from before. Big sister, why is Feng Jiyin so rude? In the past, she had always been gentle when she spoke. Most of the time, she would not talk to him. Why was it that she seemed to have eaten gunpowder today? Don't tell me he damaged his head outside? She is just an adopted daughter. She has nothing to do with our Feng family. If it wasn't for the family master's favor, she wouldn't have the qualifications for us to call her elder sister. She doesn't have any self-awareness. That's right, she actually came back this time and Feng Qingqing that's enough, the woman scolded. Why don't you take a look at where you are? Let's talk when we get back. They immediately shut their mouths, not daring to speak. After they left, Shi Sheng walked out slowly and looked in the direction they had left. Side mission, the real culprit. Bah. Who allowed you to issue missions? The system was so shocked that it immediately added, accepted by default. Please refer to the literal meaning of the mission. After the system finished speaking, it immediately went offline. It did not want to see the host abuse it. Shi Sheng cursed the system manufacturer 18 times in his heart before he calmed down a little. The original plot did not mention the tragic death of Feng Qingqing, or the ending of the original Feng Jiyin. In this life, the original Feng Jiyin had lived a miserable life. Even if someone wanted to harm her, it was probably just adding fuel to the fire in the dark. So annoying. As expected, the two empires put forward a condition to punish the culprit. The Feng family master had given the imperial family a heads-up in advance, so this condition was not supported by the imperial family. Instead, the imperial family found an opportunity to suspect that they had bad intentions, and wanted to start a war to break the alliance between the three empires. The alliance between the three empires had been established for 100 years to maintain the peace and stability of the continent. Whoever violated it first was a sinner. When the Blue Sky Empire brought up this topic, the people from the other two empires did not make as much noise. Shi Sheng did not have the chance to see the three empires fight, but he heard the aftermath of the incident. When the three empires were at a stalemate, the border of the Devil Flame mountain range that was guarded by the two empires had a riot at the same time. Xian beasts fled to the continent and hurt people. Before the crowd could figure out what was going on, the state preceptor appeared with his men, and casually ended the matter by saying that it was even. Even if the people from the two empires knew it was the imperial tutor who did it, they could not do anything to him. The imperial tutor of the Blue Sky Empire was famous for being difficult to deal with, and even harder to figure out. No one knew what he was thinking. Such a simple and crude solution would definitely catch everyone off guard. When did her Feng Xiai solve things so simply and crudely? Shisheng never paid attention to how Feng Xiai handled things in each world. Their lives were closely related. When the other was safe, the two had a tacit understanding not to step into each other's circle and interfere with each other. The only thing that left a deep impression was that when he was Feng Xiai, it really was that simple and crude. He would set fire without saying a word. The imperial tutor's manor was not far from the Feng manor. Shisheng excitedly ran over to find him. The imperial tutor's manor was built in a grand manner. There were 2 black Qilins standing at the entrance. Their eyes were blood red, and they looked very lifelike. They were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, as if they wanted to swallow anyone who came. If one saw such a thing in the middle of the night, it would be quite scary. Shisheng went closer to take a look. He did not know what material it was carved from, but it gave off a dense spiritual aura. Third young Miss Feng. Shisheng moved his gaze away from the Qilins and looked at the person who had called her. It was a delicate-looking youth wearing the uniform of the Divine Guards. He stood at the top of the stairs with a faint smile on his face. My lord said that if third young Miss Feng likes them, you can take them back. Shisheng pointed at the black Qilins. This thing. Yes. What are you going to do with it? It's such a big lump. It's not like it can be eaten or used. Youth. Weren't you the one looking at it out of curiosity? Have your lord give himself to me. Shisheng knew that idiot Yinwei was definitely here. The youth's smile disappeared. Third young Miss Feng, I don't dare pass on this message. The consequences of coveting his lord. He did not want to say it. Although this third young Miss Feng seemed to be a bit different from his lord, he did not believe that his lord had taken a fancy to this third young Miss Feng. Then let me in. I will tell him myself. Shisheng walked up the stairs. The youth shook his head and reached out to block Shisheng's path. Third young Miss Feng, I cannot let you in. His lord had only told him to pass on the message. He did not say that she could go in. Chapter 771. Shisheng was stopped outside the imperial tutor's residence. The young man wouldn't let Shisheng in no matter what. Feng, third young miss, master doesn't want to see you. The young man's tone was tactful. Shisheng and the young man stared at each other. I want to see him. Young man. If you want to see him, that's your business. No matter what Shisheng said, even if he didn't let her in. Send these 2 Qilins to the Feng manor. Shisheng pointed at the 2 stone Qilins before he left. It was a gift from Feng Xiai. It would be a waste if he didn't take it. The young man's mouth twitched. Didn't you just say it was useless? Why do you want it now? Of course, the young man didn't dare say anything. He bowed slightly, yes. Shisheng left the imperial tutor's residence and walked around the streets. Unfortunately, he ran into Feng Qingqing. Feng Qingqing had already been let out of the small dark room. She was walking on the streets with a young man. Shisheng remembered the young man, the one who had been bitten by a snake in the Devil Flame Ridge. Shisheng hadn't thought that he would still be alive. But he was with the female lead, so it wasn't strange that he was still alive. The 2 of them had just come out of a medicine shop. Shisheng stood at the bottom of the stairs and looked at Feng Qingqing. Hatred flashed through Feng Qingqing's eyes. It was because of this woman that she had lost a divine beast. That was a blood Qilin, one that was rarely seen in 1,000 years. It was also because of her that she had been punished so severely by the Feng family head. She was clearly the daughter of the Feng family head, but she was like an insignificant outsider. After being reborn, Feng Qingqing didn't have any hopes for family. She just wanted to become stronger. Feng Qingqing suppressed the emotions in her eyes and walked past Shisheng with the young man. As the female lead, she wouldn't cause trouble unless it was necessary. Shisheng didn't stop Feng Qingqing and let her pass. When the young man passed by, he looked at Shisheng strangely. He clearly remembered what she had said in the Devil Flame Ridge. Although she wasn't wrong, compared to Feng Qingqing who had saved him, the young man couldn't help but feel that Shisheng was too cold-blooded. What are you looking at? Shisheng glared back fiercely. Be careful, or I will gouge your eyes out. Shi Sheng's voice wasn't loud and Feng Qingqing, who was walking in front, didn't seem to hear him. Disgust appeared in the young man's eyes. How could such a vicious woman be compared to Miss Seven? He looked away and ran a few steps to catch up to Feng Qingqing. Shi Sheng glanced at the medicine shop that Feng Qingqing came out of. The female lead must have come here to buy medicine for alchemy. Just like all Xuanhuan novels, there was a shortage of pills on this continent. As someone who possessed many pill recipes that had been lost on the continent, the female lead would soon shine brightly and be praised by everyone. Because of this, the male lead would also need the female lead's help to pull their relationship closer. Letting Feng Qingqing poison Helian you would definitely be fun. Do you think the female lead is a fool? Would she poison the male lead? Besides, your mission doesn't include the male lead. Don't harm the male lead. Don't harm the male lead? K your mother. Does he really want to let go of the matter of him framing me? Does he think I don't hold a grudge? Shi Sheng ground his teeth. I think the female lead is a retard. Tell me who isn't a retard in your eyes. Shi Sheng's gaze changed and he chuckled. They're all retards. The world was as black as a retard. Isn't this the Feng family's third miss? She actually has the face to come out. People like her don't understand the suffering of ordinary people. They only know how to be willful. After causing such a big trouble, if I were her, I would have killed myself to atone for my sins. The people on the street suddenly began to point at Shi Sheng. Although the matter of the Devil Flame Ridge was solved by Yin Wei, the main culprit of this matter was still Shi Sheng in the hearts of the people of the Zhonglan Empire. Shi Sheng turned around and looked at the people who were talking. The few people who were in the middle of a heated discussion suddenly froze. Shi Sheng sneered and put his hands on his hips. His expression was insolent. If you have the ability, then get rid of the evil for the people. Come. Let's hurt each other. I'm not afraid of you. The people who were gossiping suddenly felt a chill run down their spines. They took a few steps back in unison. But how could they be afraid of a girl when they were all grown men? You're a girl. How can you be so ruthless? One of them dared to criticize. Who said that girls can't be ruthless? Shi Sheng glared at him. His tone was as fierce as it could be. Did you say that? Or did Emperor I say that? If a man was ruthless, he could do great things. If a woman was ruthless, he said that she had the heart of a snake and scorpion. Who the hell said that a woman had to be kind, couldn't be ambitious, and had to stay at home to take care of her husband and children? Shi Sheng's aura was as if he would immediately rush up and kill them if they dared to say no. They looked at each other and quickly turned around and ran away. Why was the Feng family's third miss like a lunatic? #my host is always causing trouble. Causing trouble is the female lead's privilege. Why are you stealing other people's work? Can't you just quietly complete a mission? Shi Sheng strolled around the streets and bought a bunch of strange things. At least from the system's point of view, they were strange things. When he passed by a road that he had to pass to return to the Feng Manor, Shi Sheng was blocked on the main street. There were 3 layers of people surrounding him, and he couldn't see what was going on inside. Shi Sheng tugged at a girl. What's going on inside? A good dog doesn't block the way. These people were blocking the main street. How could they let people pass? The girl shook her head. I don't know. I just got here. Shi Sheng stood on his tiptoes to take a look. The chances of her squeezing through were 0. After using a Herculean effort, Shi Sheng finally squeezed his way to the front. The first thing he saw was the black Qilin in the middle. The divine guards were standing around the Qilin, and standing across from it was the female lead, Feng Qingqing. Feng Qingqing's face was a bit pale as she was supported by the man beside her. Shi Sheng. Causing trouble. Feng Qingqing and the divine guards were fighting. It wasn't that Feng Qingqing was causing trouble, it was that Feng Qingqing had chased after a person and ran into the divine guards that were escorting the Qilin. The members of the divine guards thought that Feng Qingqing wanted to do something and started fighting without a word. Feng Qingqing didn't dare reveal too much of her strength and was heavily injured by the divine guards. Are all the people from the imperial tutor's manor this unreasonable? Feng Qingqing was a bit angry. If she wasn't afraid of revealing too much of her strength, How could she be suppressed by these people? The divine guards didn't change their expressions in the face of the accusation. 7th young miss, you were the one who barged in first. Feng Qingqing snorted coldly. I was only chasing after a person. It's fine if you stopped me, but you let that person go. Could it be that person is from the imperial tutor's manor? The divine guards were still calm. We don't know who 7th young miss was chasing and we didn't see it. It's a fact that you barged in. Asterisk 50. Today's explosive update was over. Vote up. Vote up. Tip up. Come come. Chapter 772. The divine guard's attitude was firm. They didn't know anything, but they were certain that Feng Qingqing had broken in with ulterior motives. Feng Qingqing snorted coldly. I didn't think that the imperial tutor's residence would turn black into white, unable to distinguish right from wrong. In the plot, Feng Qingqing and the imperial tutor's residence didn't get along. No matter what was discovered, Feng Qingqing definitely wouldn't be kind to the divine guard. The imperial tutor's residence was a very high existence in the hearts of normal people. The divine guard was a valiant existence comparable to an army. But the imperial tutor's residence's reputation wasn't very good. The divine guard's actions were all centered around Yin Wei. Whatever he said was right. Even if Emperor I came, it would be useless. And Yin Wei's actions were unpredictable. Sometimes she did good things, sometimes she didn't. It could even be said that she was vile. So this kind of existence that could rebel was like a ticking time bomb in the eyes of these people. Who knew when she would rebel? Feng Qingqing also understood that she couldn't fight the divine guard head-on right now. She couldn't expose her strength yet. She was still too weak. Therefore, she swallowed her anger and stepped aside. A female lead that could endure could achieve great things. But the Shisheng only felt that it was strange. This was too far-fetched. Lord Plotline really worked hard to get the female lead and the villain to the party. The divine guard carried the Qilins away. Many of the onlookers recognized the two iconic Qilins. In the entire Songlan Empire, only the imperial tutor's residents dared to use Qilins as guards. Aren't those the two Qilins outside the imperial tutor's residence? Where are they being sent to? Let's follow them and see. So the divine guard's people escorted the Qilins into the Feng residence. The Feng family head was confused. May I ask what the imperial tutor's meaning is? Feng family head. We are just following orders. The Feng family head cleverly didn't ask. These Qilins. These were the two Qilins outside the imperial tutor's residence. When they were first placed outside, many people coveted them. At that time, the imperial tutor didn't have that much prestige. No one dared to steal the two Qilins. But the consequences, just thinking about it was tragic. Why did the imperial tutor send these things to his residence? What was the meaning of this? It's for your residence's 3rd young miss. 3rd young miss? Xiao Yin. What did Xiao Yin and the state preceptor do? Imperial preceptor wants to give these two Qilins to little Yin? Farewell. The divine guards did not explain anything to the Feng family head, and quickly left the Feng manor. As soon as the divine guard left, the Feng family had immediately sent someone to call for Shisheng. The Shisheng took a shortcut and arrived at the mansion before the divine guards. So when the Feng family head's people came to call her, she was already in her room. The Feng family had walked back and forth around the Qilin with a dignified expression. He didn't even notice when Shisheng went in. Father! Shisheng called out. The Feng family had looked up and pointed at the Qilin. What's going on? State preceptor gave it to me, Shisheng said matter-of-factly. Of course, the Feng family head knew that this was a gift from the state tutor. And it was given by name. Why did the imperial tutor give you this? Shisheng pondered for a moment. Maybe it's an apology for framing me? It could also be a token of love. It was hard to guess what that idiot was thinking. Wronged you? What did you do with the imperial tutor? The Feng family head became anxious. What did the imperial tutor do to Xiao Yin? It's about the Devil Flame Mountain Range. He thought I was the one who broke his array. Shisheng told the Feng family head about what happened at the Devil Flame Mountain Range in detail. The Feng family head had been so busy recently that she had forgotten about it. What's with the rumor that you've broken the defensive array of the city? The rumors and slanders outside seem to be spreading even more fiercely than before. They wanted to lock me under the city gate. What's wrong with me breaking their array? Shisheng asked with a serious face. There was a lot of information in this sentence. Was she admitting that she had really broken his array? Someone wanted to lock her outside the city gate? Who had the guts? Xiaoyin. How did you know how to break the defensive array? How could he not know what Xiaoyin was capable of? The cities near the Devil Flame mountain range had much more advanced defensive arrays than other cities. It was easier said than done to break the defensive array. I did. That was how smart geniuses were. The iron sword was speechless. You didn't even move a finger. Where did your master get her sense of superiority from? Where's your shame? No matter how the Feng family had asked, Shisheng just used words like born, smart, and self-taught to brush off the Feng family head. If the Feng family head still couldn't tell that Shisheng was different from the Feng Jian of the past, then he shouldn't be the family head anymore. The Feng family head was full of doubts. He changed the topic back to the Qilin. The imperial tutor isn't easy to get along with. Don't get too close to him. How could she not get too close to him? He was the person she wanted to pamper. Although the Feng family had said not to get too close to the imperial tutor, she didn't forbid it. He even asked someone to send the Qilin to her courtyard and place it outside her small attic. Shisheng later found out that the Qilin had an anti-theft function. After Shisheng left, the Feng family head went to the ancestral hall alone to worship the ancestors of the Feng family. The Feng family head bowed first. Then he went forward and turned the tablet around. The table suddenly split into two, revealing a dark passage. The Feng family had entered the passage, and it closed automatically behind him. He walked all the way through the long and dim passage, and entered a larger space. There were many shelves here, and there was a lamp in each shelf. Some of the lights were stronger, and some were very weak. It was like a lamp that had run out of oil. The Feng family head went straight to a lamp. Although the lamp was lit, it was very weak. The Feng family head froze. It shouldn't be, could it be true? The Feng family head was suspicious as he took out a stone from the box where the lights were placed. He went out with the stone, and went straight to the small building where Shisheng was. The Feng family head stood outside. The stone began to slowly glow as he moved, but it was still very weak. The Feng family had found an excuse to go in and talk to Shisheng. When he came out, the Feng family head's expression was even stranger. It was Xiaoyin, but why was her soul lamp so weak? Even the soul stone's reaction was weak. In this world, when a disciple of a large clan was born, they would light up a soul lamp and receive a soul stone. Of these two things, a soul lamp could let people know that someone was still alive, and a soul stone could determine where that person was, and whether that person was real or not. The Feng family had found that Shisheng's personality had changed. He suspected that she had been replaced, so he went to check the soul lamp. But the result made the Feng family head even more confused. The soul stone couldn't be wrong. The person inside was Xiaoyin. The problem now was, why was it so weak, as if it was about to disappear? Chapter 773. Shisheng found that the Feng family head had found a lot of doctors to give her a comprehensive physical examination. But the results were that she was very healthy and there was nothing wrong with her body. The Feng family head was very worried. If there was nothing wrong, how could her soul lamp be so weak? The Feng family head's behavior also made the Feng family suspect that there was something wrong with Shisheng's body. Shisheng was innocent. There was nothing wrong with her. Third sister. As soon as Shisheng sent off the Feng family head, a beautiful figure appeared at the gate of the courtyard. She looked at the Qilin standing outside with some surprise. Everyone in the Feng family knew that the state preceptor gave the Qilin to Shisheng. But because of Shisheng's previous behavior, these people only saw him from afar. No one dared to ask. Shisheng stood on the steps between the two Qilins. He crossed his arms and calmly looked at the woman who slowly walked over. Feng Qiqi, the #1 young miss of the Feng family. Feng Qiqi came with two maids. The maids were holding something in their hands. She walked closer and smiled. I heard that third sister was not feeling well, so I brought some supplements for you. Following her words, the two maids immediately opened the things. The moment the box was opened, Shisheng felt a wave of spirit energy. Shisheng didn't recognize the item lying inside, but from the density of the spirit energy, she could tell it wasn't an ordinary item, but a weasel paying a visit to a chicken. She was up to no good. My body is very good. Shisheng did not take the things. Who knew if they were poisonous or not? Feng Qiqi was very likely to be a key character in the side quest. Feng Qiqi sized up Shisheng without batting an eyelid before speaking gently. It's good that third sister is fine. Since I've already brought these things here, there's no reason for me to take them back. Third sister, please accept them. Consider it a token of my appreciation as your elder sister. No need. Third sister, do you dislike the things I gave you? Feng Qiqi was a little sad. She took a step back in order to advance. Third sister usually eats and uses the best things. I think you don't like the things I gave you. Shisheng grinned maliciously. Since it's good stuff, of course I'll save it for my sister. Feng Qiqi didn't notice the expression on Shisheng's face and hurriedly said, I don't need these, give them to third sister. No. Feng Qiqi. Why was it so difficult to give her something? Shisheng turned around and entered the attic, ignoring Feng Qiqi completely. Feng Qiqi's expression quickly changed a few times. Her gaze swept over the box in the servant girl's hand, and she sighed helplessly. Let's go. It was only after Feng Qiqi's figure had disappeared outside the small building that Shisheng's servant girl finally opened her mouth. Eldest Miss, why did you give Miss such a precious gift for no reason? You're up to no good. Shisheng walked to the rocking chair and lay down. There's no such thing as a free lunch. The maidservant exclaimed in surprise. It can't be, eldest Miss is quite a nice person. Feng Qiqi's reputation in the Feng family was indeed good. Everyone knew that she was a well-educated, gentle, and pleasant young lady. Shisheng's body swayed along with the rocking chair. You may know a person for a long time without understanding their true nature. How do you know what they're thinking? Maybe they're praising you on the surface, but in their heart, they're thinking about how to cut you into 8 pieces. People's hearts. People's hearts. Heh, Shisheng suddenly chuckled. The servant girl asked curiously, Miss, what are you laughing at? Shisheng restrained the smile on his face, closed his eyes and faintly said, Nothing. The Feng family's head tossed and turned for a few days before stopping. However, the Feng family's head still let Shisheng go to the family's martial arts field to study every day. The girls of big families generally studied in their own family. Only the direct descendants or talented boys would be sent to a place like the academy. Ordinary boys could only study in the martial arts field. Therefore, the martial arts field was mixed between men and women. Shisheng had a special instructor, so he didn't need to share it with others. However, when she arrived, she found that there was already someone inside. A woman wearing tight clothes saw Shisheng come in, and hurriedly stood up. This woman was from a side branch of the family. She was able to become an instructor, and she was even the instructor of the original owner. It could be seen that this woman had strength. Third Mississippi, Shisheng looked at the person who was meditating. The instructor immediately explained, Miss Chi will study with Third Miss from now on. Third Miss, do you have any objections? Who wants to study with the female lead? Who arranged this? This baby doesn't want to be with the female lead. I'm afraid I can't control my power, and will kill her. I have objections. The instructor didn't expect Shisheng to directly refuse. But this is Instructor Wan's arrangement. Oh, then you can teach her. Goodbye. Shisheng turned and left. The instructor was dumbfounded. It's fine if you say she's noisy, but the instructor directly let her go. As soon as Shisheng turned around, he saw Wan Quan standing behind him. With a slightly ferocious face, he stared at Shisheng seriously. Wan Quan said in a deep voice, Third Miss, Miss Chi and you are of the same branch. It's better for you to have the same instructor. Shisheng said word by word. But I don't want to be with her. Why? Shisheng hissed. If you don't want to, then you don't want to. Why do you have to make me give you a reason? Are you crazy? Won Quan acted like an instructor. Everyone has a reason for doing things. Why don't you want to study with Miss Chi? Io, so what if you have a strong aura? Do you think I'm afraid of you? Why do I need a reason? I don't want to because I don't want to. Can't I be in a bad mood? Everyone had a reason for doing things. They were just finding excuses for their actions to make others feel that they were in the right. Instructor 1. Feng Qingqing had finished meditating at some point and walked out with a calm face. Third Miss doesn't want to study with me. It's the same if I study with others. Feng Qingqing felt that Shisheng wanted to drive her away. So what if she didn't want to study? She didn't need anyone to teach her. She was only here to deceive others. Won Quan glanced at Shisheng with disappointment in his eyes. I'll teach you personally in the future, Won Quan said to Feng Qingqing. Instructor Wan, this is against the rules. The female instructor interrupted in a small voice. Won Quan glared at the female instructor, and she didn't dare to speak. Won Quan shook his head slightly and his voice was full of disapproval. Third Miss, you won't be able to achieve great things like this. Oh. Shisheng responded indifferently and walked forward. Tutor Wan, you don't have to worry about whether I succeed or not. This is my business. Won Quan was angered by Shisheng's attitude. He had been in the Feng family for so long and had never met anyone who dared to speak to him like this. The female instructor called out from behind. Third Miss, you still have class. I don't want to. Today is a holiday. Shisheng waved his hand. Female instructor. Chapter 774. The news that Shisheng didn't go to class was quickly passed to the Feng family head. After the Feng family had learned of the matter, this was the first time he was angry with Won Quan. In the past, Won Quan was definitely a privileged existence in the Feng family. This time, he was angry with the Feng family head. Won Quan found it hard to understand. Family head, the 7th young miss is your daughter, the 3rd young miss is just... Shut up. The Feng family head scolded fiercely. What do you know? I don't know. Won Quan's expression was dignified. Under the pressure of the Feng family head, he said, the 7th young miss is your closest person. Why do you treat her like this? The 3rd young miss has been raised by your side for many years. We can understand that you have feelings for her, but I can't understand how you treat your own daughter for an outsider. I can't accept it. The Feng family head's eyes were gloomy. Won Quan, I didn't take you in back then to let you preach to me now. What he did was not up to an outsider to tell him what to do. Won Quan's expression changed slightly. He seemed to have thought of something. He lowered his head and didn't speak. The Feng family head was silent for a while. Since you think so highly of her, then she is yours. The Feng family head left, leaving Won Quan alone in the hall. Since then, Feng Qingqing followed Won Quan. Shisheng didn't go to class for 3 days, and the teacher was on vacation all day. The Feng family had talked to Shisheng several times. Shisheng promised that he wouldn't lose face in the exam. Only then did the Feng family had let her go. Although Shisheng didn't go to class, he didn't fall behind in cultivation. The female lead was improving. She couldn't not improve. It was just that the female lead knew alchemy and refining. Shisheng wasn't interested in learning it. She couldn't learn it. It was too delicate and required patience. For someone like Shisheng who would pull out his sword without saying a word, it was a big test. Third sister, I haven't seen you in the martial arts field for a long time. Shisheng had just approached the martial arts field when Feng Qi came out of nowhere with a few girls and greeted her with a smile. Third sister. Third young miss. The girls saluted Shisheng according to their status. Is something the matter? Shisheng raised his eyebrows slightly and looked at Feng Qi. This Feng Qi didn't cause any more trouble after sending her offerings, Ba supplements. When she saw her at the martial arts practice field, she would only politely greet her. She really hadn't surrounded her like today. Shisheng's gaze made Feng Qi very uncomfortable. It was as if his gaze could penetrate her skin and see her soul. She almost couldn't maintain the smile on her face. Feng Qi averted her gaze and did her best to ignore her gaze. There will be a small exam in a bit. Third sister should come as well. I'm not going. Third sister, You haven't been cultivating properly recently. Could it be that you're afraid that you can't beat him? The girl next to Feng Qiqi immediately followed up with a provocative tone. Everyone in the martial arts practice field knew that Shisheng had not been coming to class recently and was slacking off. The corners of Shisheng's mouth curled up slightly, and his face was instantly filled with arrogance. I'm afraid I'll cripple you. Third sister really knows how to joke. Eldest sister's strength is on par with yours. Even if she can't win, she can at least tie with you. Besides, after the girl finished flattering Feng Qiqi, her tone changed. Recently, Feng Qingqing has improved by leaps and bounds. To put it bluntly, she's the most powerful person in our generation. Third sister, you have to teach Feng Qingqing a lesson. After talking for so long, the topic still came back to the female lead. These people were here to sow discord. You want to see if I can cripple you? Shisheng ignored the girl's words and changed the topic. The girl. Who asked you this question? Why didn't Feng Jin do as we wanted? It's hurtful for sisters to talk about these things. Third sister, we all know that you're the most talented. Of course no one can beat you. Feng Qiqi came out to smooth things over. Feng Qingqing is nothing. She's just an illegitimate daughter. No matter how powerful she is, she can't compare to third sister. Just listen to what she said. If it were anyone else, they would have exploded after hearing this and run over to duel with the female lead. How did Feng Qingqing provoke you? Why do you have to bring her to me? You want me to beat her up so badly? So you can benefit from it? This is a good plan to kill two birds with one stone. What kind of trick was this? Shisheng didn't play by the rules. Feng Qiqi was stunned for a moment and didn't know how to respond. After a while, Feng Qiqi said, Third sister, that's not what we meant. Shisheng asked, Then what did you mean? Feng Qiqi meant that. She couldn't come up with a better reason at this time. She didn't need to say it. She only needed to add fuel to the fire and instigate Shisheng to fight with Feng Qingqing at the right time. However, Shisheng didn't take the bait and exposed her right in front of her face. It's Feng Qingqing who went too far. She said that third Jiejie is nothing, and that she is the Feng family's #1 genius. Third Jiejie, listen to what she's saying. She doesn't put you in her eyes at all. The girl beside Feng Qiqi quickly chimed in. Shisheng smiled ambiguously. Is that so? Of course. That Feng Qingqing is being taught by Mentor One personally. Mentor One is protecting her, so she thinks she's something. Does she really think she's the young miss of the Feng family? Feng Qingqing is nothing. In our Feng family, third sister is still the strongest. Feng Qingqing is just a country girl. How can she compare to third sister? Third sister must teach her a lesson and let her know who's the master. The people that Feng Qiqi had brought were all talking at once about Feng Qingqing. Shisheng clapped his hands. That's right. Everyone's faces lit up. Feng Qiqi also let out a sigh of relief. How could she not care about Feng Qingqing? Shisheng asked again. Where's Feng Qingqing? Over there, over there. I saw her just now. Third sister, I'll take you there. Someone immediately appeared and walked in a certain direction. Shisheng followed behind with a faint smile on his face. Feng Qiqi walked next to Shisheng. When she saw the smile on Shisheng's face, she didn't know why, but she felt a chill. Feng Qiqi didn't have time to think about it when they arrived. Feng Qingqing was fighting with someone. She claimed to have 4 elements, but she usually used the fire element. Other people could only use shapeless attacks, but Feng Qingqing's flames already had a shape. Feng Qingqing rushed forward and chose to fight in close range. The flames in her hand came out and she slapped the other person's chest. Ow! Feng Qingqing didn't show mercy. The man she was fighting with howled and fell to the ground with a pained expression. It's just a few days of discomfort. You won't die. Feng Qingqing looked down at the man. Next time you dare to touch my people, your end won't be so simple. Scram. Shisheng. The female lead stole I's line. Host, take medicine if you're sick. This is the female lead's line, not yours. Chapter 775. Feng Qingqing, just you wait. Io, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and call the doctor. Feng Qingqing, I won't let you go. A few lackeys came forward and carried the man away. Seventh young lady, will he take revenge on you? A girl ran over from afar. It was the girl who had insisted on going back to the demonic Flame Ridge to find Feng Qingqing. Her name was Feng Xiaolian. If he dares to come, I'll cripple him. Feng Qingqing's face hardened. A girl behind Shisheng suddenly shouted, Cripple who? Feng Qingqing, do you have any manners? This is a martial arts practice field. It's a felony to kill your own kind. Feng Qingqing followed the voice and saw Shisheng surrounded by people. Her face became colder and colder, and her eyes seemed to be filled with coldness. Feng Xiaolian was frightened by this scene and quickly shrank behind Feng Qingqing. Feng Qingqing said coldly, What are you doing here? These people often made things difficult for her, and today they even brought Feng Jian here. She didn't need to think to know that they were up to no good. Feng Qingqing's heart was on alert as her gaze fell on Shisheng. Shisheng was very perceptive. He pointed to the side and said, They want me to cripple you. All the girls' expressions changed, and they looked at Shisheng in disbelief. This was different from what they had agreed on. What did he mean they wanted her to cripple Feng Qingqing? They were just trying to sow discord. They didn't say anything like that. What? Feng Qingqing didn't understand. I said they want me to cripple you, Shisheng repeated. But I don't think you're worth my time, so I think it's better to let them do it themselves. Poser Sheng was online. Third sister. What third sister? I don't have a third sister. I don't do lesbians. Shisheng said seriously. All right, I'm not going to play with you anymore. Don't cause trouble behind my back. If you get caught by Shisheng smiled sinisterly. I'll send you to heaven. After showing off, Shisheng slowly left, leaving a group of confused people behind. This was completely different from what they had imagined. Feng Qingqing sneered. Was there an internal conflict? However, this Feng Jin, something didn't seem right. Feng Qingqing was still doing very well in the martial arts field. With Wan Quan as her instructor, and the strength she gradually revealed, no one dared to look down on her anymore. Feng Qingqing also secretly began to subdue the Feng family. Let's start with the Feng family's hedonistic disciples. Feng Qingqing quickly gained a group of die-hard fans. Shisheng didn't appear, so Feng Qingqing couldn't argue with her, so everything was fine. That night, Shisheng had just finished his cultivation when he sensed a strange aura outside. She blinked, took out her iron sword, jumped off the bed, and walked toward the window. There was a crack in the window, and through the crack, Shisheng saw two shadows fighting quickly below. Both of their targets seemed to be the two Qilins in front of her door. Speaking of that Qilin, probably because they were afraid of disturbing others, the two of them did not use their profound qi and directly engaged in hand-to-hand combat. One of them had a petite figure, and was obviously a girl. Shisheng silently pushed the window open a little, and the view became wider. The two people below had already locked onto each other's moves, and were very close to each other. They're both here for the profound black flame crystal. There are two here, how about we each take one? The taller man lowered his voice as he spoke. His voice was a bit strange, like it had changed. How do I know you won't go back on your words? The girl's voice was very familiar to Shisheng. Wasn't it Feng Qingqing? There's no result if we keep fighting like this. Feng Qingqing was a bit hesitant. She was silent for a while. I'll count to 3 and let go at the same time. The man agreed without any hesitation. Okay. 1, 2, 3. The two of them let go of each other at the same time, but they didn't let down their guard. The stalemate lasted for about 30 seconds before the two of them retreated a little. You take it first. The man continued to retreat, showing that he wouldn't do anything behind her back. Feng Qingqing looked at the man cautiously. She was also afraid that someone would appear, but the profound black flame crystal was a top-quality crystal, and very hard to find. She needed it to refine weapons. Feng Qingqing looked around, and quickly walked toward the Qilin. Fuck. You dare to steal Feng Xi's token of love. Shisheng slammed open the window and shouted angrily. You want to divide my things like this? Have you asked me, the owner? This loud shout caused Feng Qingqing, and the man to jump in fright. The man's reaction was faster than Feng Qingqing's. Before Shisheng's voice fell, his figure flashed and he quickly rushed toward the Qilin. What the F***ck? This thief is amazing. How dare he try to steal from me? Shisheng jumped down from the window and waved his iron sword at the same time. The Qilin's scarlet eyes flashed with a cold light. Seeing that the man was about to touch the Qilin, a sword chi came from the side. It brought with it a biting cold air that seemed to freeze the air around it. The man's body reflexively retreated. Feng Qingqing also reacted at this time, and quickly rushed toward the other Qilin. She was very lucky to touch the Qilin. Her palm was strangely hot, but she quickly put the Qilin into her space. She looked down and her palm was already red and swollen. It was burning with pain. Chua! The iron sword came down from above Feng Qingqing's head. Feng Qingqing wanted to dodge, but it was too late. A strong pressure came from all directions. The cold air seeped into her bones and blood, so cold that she couldn't move. Just when she thought she was going to be hit, there was a sudden force on her wrist that pulled her to the side. The cold iron sword brushed past her cheek and arm, cutting into a bush behind her. The bush was instantly turned to dust. Feng Qingqing was half carried, and quickly flew back a distance before landing in the direction of the door. Feng Qingqing's heart beat wildly, and there was a lingering fear that came from surviving a disaster. She had almost died. Shisheng gritted his teeth in anger. He raised his iron sword and charged at Feng Qingqing. This time she was prepared. Feng Qingqing and the man separated and ran in different directions. Shisheng was alone, so he could only chase after Feng Qingqing. Feng Qingqing found that her path was blocked by Shisheng, and could only face Shisheng head-on. Feng Qingqing had the female lead's aura. No matter how Shisheng slashed, in the end, if the air didn't suddenly freeze and her resistance increased, then Feng Qingqing would coincidentally dodge. In any case, she wasn't allowed to slash the female lead. If you don't let I slash, I will slash. Shisheng fiercely charged forward. When he met resistance again, he poured all the energy in his body into the iron sword. The resistance suddenly decreased, and Shisheng immediately pressed the iron sword down. The sharp blade cut into Feng Qingqing's shoulder. A normal person's arm would have been broken, but for Feng Qingqing, it only cut down. Shisheng felt that he didn't even cut the bone. He continued to use force, but he couldn't press it down. My female lead is too strong. Chapter 776. Feng Qingqing rolled on the ground and broke free of Shisheng's iron sword. She clutched her shoulder and staggered out. The only thing she didn't expect was that Shisheng's sword would be so powerful. She already had the black flame crystal, so there was no need to waste time. So Feng Qingqing just wanted to leave this place and didn't want to be entangled with Shisheng. If she took Shisheng's token of love, would she let Feng Qingqing walk out safely? That was definitely impossible. Feng Qingqing had just run to the door when Shisheng caught up. Shisheng leaped through the air and landed in front of her. She was only wearing a dark robe and the night covered her expression, but the cold aura coming from her made Feng Qingqing's heart tremble. The scenery in front of her seemed to quickly degenerate into darkness. A faint light flickered, and the swaying trees behind her were like demons baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. She suddenly couldn't tell where she was standing. Feng Qingqing felt waves of pain all over her body, and the pain made her head turn slowly. Just as Feng Qingqing thought Shisheng was going to continue, she suddenly shouted at the top of her lungs, "Help! Someone come, there's an assassin!" Feng Qingqing was startled, and the darkness in front of her quickly receded. There was a fire in the distance, and the sound of chaotic footsteps could be heard. Feng Qingqing quickly ran in another direction. Who knew that before she could take 2 steps, she would be stopped by Shisheng? Feng Qingqing anxiously charged at Shisheng. Shisheng couldn't kill Feng Qingqing, but it was no problem for him to stop her. The Feng Manor's guards arrived very quickly and surrounded the 2 people who were still tangled up. Shisheng took advantage of the time Feng Qingqing was looking at these people to kick her in the leg. He grabbed her arm and threw her to the ground. Ah! Feng Qingqing's shoulder was injured. Being thrown to the ground by Shisheng, She couldn't hold back the pain and let out a pitiful cry. But in the next second, a cold light flashed in her hand and she quickly stabbed at Shisheng. Shisheng pulled back his abdomen, and the sharp dagger cut through her clothes. F***ck. He had forgotten about the fact that the female lead had a space. Feng Qingqing didn't manage to stab Shisheng, and immediately raised his hand, stabbing towards Shisheng's throat. Her goal wasn't to kill Shisheng. Her goal was to make Shisheng let her go. Of course, if she could kill Shisheng, Feng Qingqing would be very happy. It was all because of this woman that she had died so miserably in her previous life. In this lifetime, she would never let this woman ruin her life. But she was wrong. Shisheng didn't let go of her, and twisted his body to the side, avoiding her dagger. Feng Qingqing's hand followed Shisheng's movement, and twisted from the left to the back. Her entire body fell to the ground. Shisheng was about to kick Feng Qingqing when a figure suddenly appeared next to him. The entire space slowed down. The man's tall and straight figure slowly appeared. He had appeared out of thin air. This time, Shisheng was right. When his figure slowly appeared, the flow of space immediately returned to normal. A few white figures descended from all directions and stood silently behind the man. Shisheng. What happened to the hero saving the damsel in distress? I've already taken care of her. What are you doing here? Fairy tales were all lies. Grab her. Inwei's voice was slightly cold. When the night wind blew, it seemed even more bone-chilling. Two white figures stepped forward and pinned Feng Qingqing down. Shisheng slowly let go and casually shook his sore hand. You're late. Acting cool at this time? Bad review. Inwei tilted her head slightly. Feng Jiyin, you've lost my things. Shisheng looked at the small building in the distance. The place where the Qilins had been placed was now empty. One of them was with Feng Qingqing, and the other one must have been taken away by the male lead when she was chasing Feng Qingqing. You've already given them to me. They're mine. It's none of your business that they're lost. Flip's table. This idiot had only come to ask about the two Qilins. Inwei asked calmly. When did I say that I was giving them to you? You want me to? Shisheng paused, and the corner of his mouth twitched. Back then, that person had only said that she could take them back. He hadn't said that he would give them to her. F***ck. Feng Ci, when did you become so scheming? Shisheng straightened his neck and said aggressively. Since they've already been lost, I'll just pay with my body. I can warm your bed and fight. Do you want it? When the Feng family's guards arrived, they happened to hear Shisheng shouting. Everyone was stunned at first. Then, when they saw the person standing beside Shisheng, they all saluted in panic. Lord State Preceptor. Inwei looked at Shisheng meaningfully. He raised his hand slightly, indicating that the guards didn't need to be so polite. Inwei suddenly took off his outer robe and draped it over Shisheng. He leaned forward slightly, and Shisheng could easily see the expression on his face. It was very faint. It was a very faint kind of doting. His long and thick eyelashes cast a shadow on his face, blocking his eyes. His breathing was long and calm. His slender fingers brushed past the collar and gently tugged it, then let go. There was a faint fragrance on the outer robe. It was the same fragrance that Shisheng had smelled in the carriage. What was this idiot doing? Shisheng frowned slightly. I'll say. Inwei's figure suddenly became blurry. Shisheng blinked, and there was only darkness in front of him. The person had disappeared. Shisheng. If you have the ability, don't run. Once Inwei left, the divine guards immediately handed Feng Qingqing to the guards and disappeared into the night with a few leaps. State Preceptor had come to drape clothes over their family's third young miss? The guards were stunned. After a while, they reacted and looked at the person they were holding down. A guard pulled off the black cloth covering Feng Qingqing's face, revealing that familiar face. Seventh young miss. That guard exclaimed. How could it be seventh young miss? Feng Qingqing was in so much pain that she couldn't speak. She felt that the wound was much more painful than normal wounds. It was like someone had poured salt water into her wound. Feng Qingqing raised her head with difficulty, and looked at Shisheng standing behind the guards. The flickering flames danced in her eyes, But Feng Qingqing only felt that she was looking at a pool of stagnant water. A pool of stagnant water that could drown someone. Because the assassin was Feng Qingqing, the seventh young miss, and the one who was assassinated was the Feng family head's most beloved third young miss. The Feng family head quickly got up. In the brightly lit hall, Feng Qingqing was tied up and forced to kneel in the middle. Shi Sheng was wearing Yin Wei's purple robe and sat on the left. He propped up his face with one hand and stared blankly at the ground. When the Feng family head came in, he saw Shi Sheng's eye-catching clothes. He was startled and his eyes quickly changed. Then he suppressed the doubt in his heart and walked to the main seat with a stern face. Little fairy. Why are you running? Yin Wei. Who's running? Little fairy, you. Yin Wei. I'm not running, I'm very busy. Little fairy. You just need to be pampered by my daughter. What are you busy with? Yin Wei. None of your business. Chapter 777. What's going on? The Feng family head's eyes were filled with impatience as he angrily slammed the table. Feng Qingqing, what are you doing? Feng Qingqing didn't know how to explain. She never thought she would be caught. If she was caught like this, no matter how she explained, it would seem far-fetched, so the best way was to not say anything. Feng Qingqing gritted her teeth and didn't speak. Why did you try to assassinate Xiao Yin? The Feng family had looked at Feng Qingqing kneeling in the hall. His eyes filled with an unknown emotion. He suddenly shouted, Feng Qingqing, speak! The hall was silent. Everyone held their breaths for fear of triggering an explosion. The Feng family head's chest heaved up and down. Feng Qingqing, are you rebelling? Look at yourself. How did Wan Quan teach you? Feng Qingqing was in so much pain that she almost lost her mind. Hearing the Feng family head mention Wan Quan, she fiercely raised her head and hatefully said, You don't need to care how Tutor Wan taught me. You didn't even do what a father should do. What right do you have to care about me? It was like this in the last life. Her father in name had personally pushed her into the abyss. Ever since she returned to the Feng family, she never felt any fatherly love. I am also your daughter. Why do you treat me like this? What did I do wrong? You would rather spoil someone who isn't related to you than look at me. Since you don't like me, why did you bring me back? When I was born, why didn't you strangle me to death? Since Feng Qingqing was reborn, the resentment and grievances that had accumulated in her heart suddenly burst out. What did she do wrong? Was it her fault that she was an illegitimate daughter? This is the reason you tried to assassinate Xiao Yin? The Feng family had actually calmed down and regained his dignity as the head of the family. Feng Qingqing's eyes turned. Yes. Do you think I'm blind? Shi Sheng suddenly spoke. She was still sitting here, and the female lead Darren was already lying with her eyes wide open. She was really good. Xiao Yin? She stole the state tutor's qilin. Shi Sheng still propped up his face, his expression calm as if he was talking about something unimportant. What? The Feng family head stood up and his expression changed greatly. He gritted his teeth and said, Feng Qingqing, what are you doing? How dare you steal from the state preceptor? I didn't. Feng Qingqing refused to admit it. I didn't steal any qilin. No one knew that she had a space. They couldn't find the qilin on her, so Feng Qingqing was fearless. The Feng family had hurriedly sent people to check. The people who checked quickly sent back news that the 2 qilins were gone. Pa. The Feng family had slammed the table in anger. Feng Qingqing, you've got guts. Hand over the qilin. I've never seen a qilin. Feng Qingqing was stubborn. Then you're saying that little Yin has wronged you? Feng Qingqing had already restrained his other emotions and only sneered. Since she said I stole it, then you can search. I'll say the same thing. I haven't seen any qilin. Shi Sheng clutched his lapel and leaned against the back of the chair. The corners of his lips curled into a faint smile. Feng Qingqing gritted her teeth and straightened her body. She couldn't lower her head in front of these people. She would get her revenge sooner or later, and let these people have a taste of living a life worse than death. The Feng family had stared at Feng Qingqing for a few seconds and ordered in a deep voice, Go search. Those 2 large qilins, he didn't believe they would dig into the ground. In the end, they didn't find anything. The entire Feng family was searched, but no Qilins were found. Feng Qingqing already knew this would be the result. Don't throw dirty water at me. I'm still your daughter, you're the one losing face. The Feng family head was a bit uncertain. Feng Qingqing was caught on the spot. She definitely didn't have time to move the Qilins. Could it be that she really didn't steal them? But little Yin shouldn't be lying. The state preceptor has arrived. A loud shout suddenly came from outside. Shisheng looked up and tilted his head to look at the entrance of the hall. Yin Wei came in from outside the hall. His steps were neither fast nor slow. When he appeared, it was as if he was the only person in the hall. Everyone's presence was instantly suppressed. State Preceptor Darren. The Feng family head took a few steps forward and bowed. From the corner of his eyes, he saw Shisheng sitting there without moving. His expression couldn't help but be a bit stiff. He kept giving Shisheng looks. She doesn't need to bow to me. Yin Wei walked around the Feng family head and sat down on the main seat. Feng family head. What did he mean by not needing to bow? The state preceptor really liked little Yin? Why did you come back? She ran away for no reason, and then came back for no reason. Shisheng's tone was too natural. It made the Feng family head's heart beat a few times. This man, even Di Jun, was a bit wary of him. How could their little Yin be so casual? Little Yin, don't be rude. Before Shisheng could speak, Yin Wei spoke first. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. That was the only word in the Feng family head's mind. Yin Wei looked at Shisheng. His eyes were as black as ink. Scattered light gathered in his pupils and the cold light was instantly dyed with a soft color. I'm here to give you something. Shisheng. There seemed to be a smile in Yin Wei's eyes. Bring it in. The divine guards in white carried the black Qilin in. The Feng family head's expression changed slightly. He glanced at Shisheng. The latter was looking at the Qilin calmly. When did his little Yin get so close to the state preceptor? The Feng family head didn't know what to say, so he just stood on the side like a backdrop. The divine guards just happened to place the Qilin next to Feng Qingqing. Feng Qingqing, who had been ignored, once again became the focus of attention. Her face didn't have any color. It was as white as paper, but she stubbornly straightened her back and didn't let herself fall. She had many pills on her, but with so many people here, she couldn't take them. You got it back? He had left in a hurry just now to get the Qilin. Yin Wei's voice calmly corrected Shisheng. I got it back. Shisheng. What was the difference? No one can take what I give you. Fuck. This guy was definitely flirting with her. Yin Wei's gaze swept over Feng Qingqing. He leaned back slightly and crossed his fingers in front of him. Feng Qingqing, there is still a Qilin. Will you hand it over yourself, or should I have someone help you? Feng Qingqing's face was even paler than before. That invasive gaze was even more unbearable than when he looked at Shisheng. Feng Qingqing's breathing was disordered. She quickly gasped for breath. The wound on her shoulder hurt even more. She gritted her teeth and denied it. I've never seen a Qilin. She couldn't admit it. She definitely couldn't admit it in front of this man. This was Feng Qingqing's only thought at this time. Yin Wei was the biggest villain in the story. In the early stages she wouldn't appear, so the female lead wouldn't face Yin Wei when she was so weak. And because of Shisheng, Yin Wei appeared early. The female lead who hadn't grown up yet could only be suppressed. Chapter 778. The Feng family head's cold sweat dripped down. He looked at Shisheng, who was sitting on the side and cracking melon seeds. The Feng family head felt that this world was a bit crazy. His Xiaoyin wasn't afraid of the state teacher at all. She could even leisurely crack melon seeds. Father, come sit. Shisheng waved at the Feng family head. Feng family head. The state teacher didn't say anything. How could he dare to sit? Yin Wei glanced at the Feng family head and nodded slightly. The Feng family had secretly wiped his cold sweat. He walked to Shisheng's side and sat down. With that stiff appearance, he might as well not sit. Shisheng piled melon seeds in front of the Feng family head. Feng family head. Who was in the mood to crack melon seeds? Yin Wei seemed to be waiting for Feng Qingqing to take out the thing. But Feng Qingqing gritted her teeth and remained silent, looking like she didn't take anything. After about the time it took to make a cup of tea, Yinwei suddenly stood up and walked towards Feng Qingqing. He looked down at Feng Qingqing and slowly raised his hand. Feng Qingqing watched as that hand gradually came closer. Her body leaned back as he moved. Shisheng stopped cracking melon seeds and his body was about to stand up. Yinwei's hand didn't land on Feng Qingqing, but on the qilin beside her. When his hand touched the qilin's color became even more beautiful, like it was covered in a layer of light. There was a faint light in its scarlet eyes as if it was about to come to life. A wind blew in the hall, and Yinwei's clothes fluttered backwards. The entire hall was filled with a chill. But it didn't last long as the wind stopped. Yinwei withdrew his hand, and his gaze fell on Feng Qingqing's neck. He slowly spat out 2 words, "Search her." The divine guards held Feng Qingqing down and searched her body. Feng Qingqing was already injured and couldn't resist at all. Her pendant was found and respectfully handed to Yinwei. It was a silver-white pendant in the shape of a budding flower. This is... The Feng family head's expression changed. Feng family head recognizes it? Yinwei raised his head to look at the Feng family head. The Feng family head shook his head slightly, but his expression was cold as he looked at Feng Qingqing. The disgust in his eyes was even more obvious. Feng Qingqing's mind was filled with thoughts that her space was about to be exposed. How could she have time to pay attention to the Feng family head's expression? Yinwei closed his eyes. Feng Qingqing suddenly covered her head and screamed. She had a contract with this space. If Yinwei forcefully entered, Feng Qingqing would definitely be injured. Yinwei could control space. To him, entering a space with an owner was only slightly more difficult than entering an ownerless space. However, this space was not that easy to enter. Just as Yinwei was about to give up, a warm energy suddenly appeared in his hand, replenishing his somewhat exhausted energy. The previously indestructible spatial barrier was quickly broken with the infusion of this energy. Yinwei found the qilin and brought it out with her thoughts. The qilin that had suddenly appeared was quietly placed side by side with another qilin, as if it had been there from the beginning. As soon as he opened his eyes, he was met with a pair of calm eyes, but in the next second, a faint smile spread, like the water in a spring pool gradually warming up, surrounding him from all directions. Shisheng's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled. "You're welcome to devote yourself to me." She let go of him and retreated to the side as if she hadn't done anything. The interaction between the two was a bit strange. Outsiders couldn't understand at all, nor could they understand what they were saying. Yinwei threw the pendant to the unconscious Feng Qingqing and looked at Shisheng. "Take care of them." Yinwei was naturally talking about the 2 qilins. "You can give them to me to take care of." What was the use of taking care of 2 qilins? Yinwei's eyes were fixed on Shisheng. His lips moved a few times, but no sound came out. The range was too small and Shisheng couldn't read what he was saying. Just as Shisheng was about to ask, Yinwei's figure flickered and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The members of the divine guards left the hall one by one, as silent as when they came. Shisheng. Flip's table. What was this idiot doing? Disappearing without a word. Speak clearly if you have the ability. Only the members of the Feng family were left in the hall. The Feng family head came forward with a heavy face and bent down to pick up the pendant from Feng Qingqing. He held the pendant for a long time. His fingers continued to tighten until they turned abnormally pale. Only then did he suddenly let go of the pendant. The pendant fell to the ground with a crisp sound. "Lock up Feng Qingqing," the Feng family had ordered in a heavy voice. Shisheng looked at the pendant on the ground. This thing. The Feng family had definitely recognized it, but he didn't seem to like it. Why? Feng Qingqing and the pendant were taken away. Only Shisheng and the Feng family head were left in the hall. "Xiaoyin, what is your relationship with the state teacher?" What had to come still came. It was impossible for the Feng family head not to ask this question. "It's just what father saw." Shisheng shrugged. "Mutual affection? Love at first sight?" The Feng family head was rarely serious with Shisheng. "Xiaoyin, tell the truth." Shisheng told the truth. "All right, I like him." The Feng family head frowned. He was in disbelief, but he seemed to understand in his heart. You really like him? That's right. The Feng family head was silent for a long time. Then he sighed. You should know what kind of person he is. When the state teacher sent the Qilins, he felt something was wrong. If he really wanted to apologize, why would he send 2 Qilins? Also, when had the state teacher ever apologized to anyone? Shisheng looked at the Feng family head and said word by word. I don't care what kind of person he is. I only know that he is the person I am looking for. Xiaoyin, he is very dangerous. He is dangerous to the empire, to you and to the Feng family. No one knew about Yin Wei's background. He also climbed up from the bottom step by step to his current position. This man had means, perseverance and patience. Shisheng was full of confidence, a bit arrogant, and a bit gentle. But he won't hurt me. The Feng family head didn't understand where Shisheng's confidence came from, but when he thought of the scene just now, he felt that what he said made sense. He had never seen the state teacher be so indulgent towards anyone. If one day the state teacher wants to harm Songlan, which side will you stand on? The Feng family head suddenly threw out a question. Shisheng looked at the Feng family head strangely. His tone was casual and natural. Do I still need to choose? If he wants the world, I will give it to him. The Feng family head. Do you think it's cabbage that you can give away just because you want to? No, the daughter he had raised for so many years actually chose a man just like that? Although he was just making an analogy, it was still hard for the Feng family head to accept. It was like a flower that was carefully cared for was about to bloom, but a gust of wind blew and everything was gone. The Feng family head was very upset. He waved his hand and asked Shisheng to leave. He wanted to be alone. Chapter 779. Feng Qingqing woke up and found herself locked in a room. The first thing she did was touch her neck. But her neck was empty. There was nothing there. It was gone. Her space was gone. No. Feng Qingqing looked around in a panic. She moved her body with difficulty, and finally found the pendant in the withered grass beside her feet. Seeing the pendant, Feng Qingqing immediately held it with both hands and put it in front of her chest. Luckily, it was still here. Feng Qingqing put the pendant back around her neck. The feeling of regaining what she had lost made her forget the pain in her body and where she was. As long as she had space, she still had a chance. Fengjin. Yin Wei. She would never forget this. She would never let them go. Shisheng heard that Feng Qingqing had run away on the 3rd day. Her mentor, Wan Quan, had run away with her. To be precise, it was Wan Quan who had gone to save Feng Qingqing. Feng Qingqing had run away before the head of the Feng family could punish her. When Feng Qingqing appeared again, she would definitely be slapped in the face. Shisheng didn't understand why the head of the Feng family hadn't punished Feng Qingqing after so many days. If it had been her, she would have F***king killed long ago. Feng Jiyin, Feng Jiyin. Shouts could be heard coming from below the building. Shisheng glanced down. A man was standing below the building and shouting. The servants around him were rushing over and dragging him outside. Feng Jiyin, come out. Feng Jiyin, how can you be so vicious? Feng Jiyin, you be *TCH. Shisheng leaned on the windowsill and watched the man being dragged away. The shouts grew weaker and weaker until they disappeared. The man who followed Feng Qingqing around was the most anxious one. He seemed to be called Feng Yu. Shisheng pursed her lips and turned around. A person suddenly appeared in front of her. She instinctively drew her sword. Yin Wei looked at the sword in her hand and praised. Your sword is not bad. Who wants you to praise my sword? Of course, my sword was not bad. Shisheng slammed the iron sword on the table beside her and shouted angrily. When did you get here? You're scaring me to death. You're too careless. Lower your head. Flips table. This guy could control space. As long as he restrained his aura, it would be easy for him to not be discovered. Shisheng stared at him for a few seconds, then walked inside with his sword. I'm just not vigilant against you. I'm honored. Shisheng snorted. It's good that you know. So, are you going to let me sleep with you? Aren't you afraid that I'll hurt you? Yinwei was always able to automatically ignore Shisheng's frivolous words. Her tone was a little probing. Shisheng turned and asked, "Do you know how to do it?" Yinwei shook his head. "Why?" Shisheng turned around and took a few steps closer to Yinwei. "Why won't you hurt me?" The two of them were very close. If Shisheng moved forward a little more, he would be able to kiss him. There was always a faint fragrance on his body. It wasn't unpleasant, but it wasn't seductive either. Instead, it had a calming effect. When people got close to him, they could easily calm down. Yinwei lowered her head slightly and looked at him. She wasn't as flustered and shy as she used to be when Shisheng got close to her. She was very calm. "Because you are." Yinwei's voice suddenly stopped. He suddenly disappeared in front of Shisheng. Shisheng. What did she mean by only finishing her sentence halfway? "I'll beat you up if you continue like this." At this moment, hurried footsteps suddenly sounded from outside. Miss. A maid rushed in from outside and said while panting, "Miss, something bad happened." "Yes, something bad happened. I's wife ran away again." Shisheng's tone was vicious. "Who died?" The maid was stunned. No one died. No one died. What's wrong with you shouting?" As long as they didn't die, she wouldn't shout anything bad. "Maid. Why did Miss look like she ate explosives? She was so fierce." It's Master Dongfang." "What Dongfang and Nanfang?" "You." The maid swallowed. "Your fiancé." Shisheng was stunned. He slammed the table. "I have a fiancé? Where did this fiancé come from?" "System, we need to talk about life." Yes. The maid nodded. "But you and Master Dongfang don't have a marriage contract. It's just a verbal agreement." "What happened to Miss? Didn't Miss know about this?" "A verbal agreement? What fiancé? Don't ruin my reputation." Shisheng let out a sigh of relief. There was no marriage contract, so this relationship didn't count. This Master Dongfang should be the scum that killed Feng Qingqing before she was reborn. In Feng Qingqing's rebirth, he killed the original Feng Qingqing. That's what everyone said before. The maid was innocent. Miss didn't object before, and the family had also acquiesced. Everyone agreed. What is he here for? The scum came for either the female lead or her. She just didn't know why the scum came for the female lead in this life before she was able to frame her. The maid shook her head. She didn't know. Shisheng walked out with his sword. She wanted to see what this scum came for. The Feng family head was receiving Dongfang Hai in the reception hall. Shisheng boldly charged in, and immediately saw the man sitting below the Feng family head. He was like jade, had a picturesque temperament, gentle features, and a noble elegance when he spoke. Shisheng. This was a scum? Fuck. Were all scum these days this high? Thinking about it, it was right. If they didn't have this high, how could they confuse others? Xiaoyin. The Feng family head saw Shisheng charge in and his expression changed. Quickly go back. What is he here for? Shisheng didn't go back and instead walked in and sat across from Dongfang Hai. Dongfang Hai seemed to be startled, but he quickly recovered and smiled warmly. After not seeing you for a few years, Xiaoyin Mimi has become even more beautiful. Shisheng bluntly retorted. That's not for you to see. Dongfang Hai. Xiaoyin, don't be rude. The Feng family had scolded. Shisheng pursed his lips and didn't say anything. It's okay. Xiaoyin is much more lively than before. Dongfang Hai seemed to be a little emotional. Time flies. After not seeing you for a few years, Xiaoyin has changed so much that I almost can't recognize her. The Feng family head's eyes darkened. Shisheng glanced at Shisheng. Shisheng was holding his chin and sizing up Dongfang Hai. His expression was too calm, and the Feng family head couldn't tell what was going on. The Feng family head retracted his gaze and chatted with Dongfang Hai for a while before Dongfang Hai got to the point. Uncle Feng, I'm here today to discuss my marriage with little sister Xiaoyin. Xiaoyin and I aren't young anymore. The elders in the family want us to get engaged first. The Feng family head sighed in his heart. He still came. If it was before, he might not have objected, but now, the state preceptor was there. How could he dare to agree? You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.